podcast. Y'all know who it is. It's Cuz on the one or two, man. Listen, like I say, man, thank y'all for subscribing to the channel. Thank y'all for liking the channel. Thank y'all for signing up for the memberships, man. Y'all just don't know how much I appreciate all the love that y'all giving the Yo Cuz podcast, man. Listen, shout out to the new subscribers. Shout out to the old subscribers. Shout out to the YouTube family, man. Y'all already know, man. Y'all the one that's keeping me lit. Thank y'all for tapping in, man. We're going with another interview with Donald Trump. 'Cause guess what? I got to keep y'all update with Donald Trump because that's what's going on right now. Listen, man, enough talking. Roll them J's up, pour them drinks, because we definitely lit right now. Let's go.
On Super Bowl Sunday, the President of the United States sits down for a wide-ranging interview ahead of the big game. This week, I spoke with President Trump in the Oval Office, and tonight we present the full conversation. The president making a number of headlines discussing everything from the midterm elections to the economy to his administration's handling of the immigration crackdown, telling me what he learned from Minneapolis and about where ICE could head next. And with the affordability crisis impacting so many Americans right now, you'll hear about what he said and when to expect economic relief. And as the Republican Party faces growing pressures ahead of the midterms, what he said about the possibility of a Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio presidential ticket in 2028. Plus, what Trump says FBI agents were looking for when they raided an election office in Georgia, and his warning to Iran's supreme leader after that country's deadly protest crackdown. And the notable response when asked about his relationship with former President Bill Clinton. But we begin our conversation with the Super Bowl and whether he was ready to make a prediction. Mr. President, we thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
As you know, Americans are getting ready for the Super Bowl, for this great big game, and you have two teams, the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. Who do you think is going to win?
Well, I've watched them both during the season, and New England's amazing because to have a second coming is pretty good. Quarterbacks, both good. Seattle's an amazing comeback quarterback, and the other one's just an amazing quarterback. I think it's going to be a great game. You know, I like both areas of our country very much. I better not make any predictions. You get yourself in big trouble. But I think it's going to be a really great game. Seattle's had an amazing season.
Yeah, strong defense.
New England has a great tradition of winning. And Bob Kraft's done a fantastic job. You know, the whole thing is really, it's going to be very exciting. The quarterback situation's interesting.
They're great. They're both great.
Both great.
That leads me to my next question. You have a really good relationship with the Patriots, including the former head coach, Bill Belichick.
Yes,
what did you think when he was snubbed on the first ballot of the Hall of Fame?
I thought it was terrible. I mean, he's won so much, won so many Super Bowls, great coach. Became a little bit controversial, I guess, after that. His little period after that. During it, he was just a great coach. I thought it was very inappropriate.
You think he deserves it, the Hall of Fame?
Oh, yeah. It's like, what have you done for me lately? Well, you know, you have a great career, and he has had a little bit of a controversial year and a half, 2 years, maybe. But what difference does that make? No, he should be in there right at the top.
What are your plans for the Super Bowl? We know you're not going to go over there. Are you going to watch here, and who are you inviting?
I'll be sitting in probably Palm Beach, depending on what happens. You know, in my position in this job of mine, sometimes you have to move around quickly, very quickly. Yeah. But we'll be most likely at Mar-a-Lago or one of my clubs, watching with a lot of people, a lot of friends, or I may very well be in the White House.
Friends and families just like you will be coming together on Super Bowl Sunday. People are shopping this week. Yeah. They're running the kids around. They're trying to heat their homes with this brutal winter we've been having. In the last year, a lot of prices have come down, things like gas and eggs, but others since you took office have come up, like natural gas and coffee. When can Americans expect those prices to come down?
Well, they've already come down. I think you've seen, Tom, when I took over, eggs, poultry, all these things were through the roof. In fact, the first question I got, what are you going to do about eggs? It was my second day in office at a news conference, and they were screaming, what are you going to do about eggs?
Welcome to the show, Chris.
4 times. If you notice, over the last few days, it's only a few days, but the Democrats have gone to another subject. I think they're probably saying dictator or something. They've got a new word. They don't use the word affordability anymore because prices are way down. Gasoline is, I just left Iowa, $1.99 and even $1.85 a gallon, $1.85 a gallon. That's in Iowa. Many states are cracking $2. Gasoline is way down. And honestly, everything is coming way down. Beef is coming
Yeah,
down.
but
He lied.
coffee,
No,
natural
no,
gas,
they're
those are all
coming
you
down.
bring that up.
Coffee's, yeah, coffee's
will
coming
come
down.
down.
Well, it's already come down. I'll tell you what, in the last 4 days, it's only 4 days, the Democrats have not uttered the word affordability. They're the ones that caused the problem. I took over a mess in every way. The border was a mess. That everybody admits. The border is great. Crime was a mess right now. 125 years. It's the lowest crime that we've had in 100 since 1900. So we're doing a job. But the one thing that they don't say anymore is affordability, because I fixed the problem that they created.
Let's stay on the economy. You just mentioned it. You said you inherited a mess from President Biden when it comes to
Welcome
the
to the
economy.
show, Star.
But at what point is it on you? At what point are we in the Trump economy?
Oh, I'd say we're there now. I'm very proud of it. 5.6%. You know, we have a GDP of 5.6 despite a shutdown. We had a 42-day shutdown. They call it the Democrat shutdown. And because of that, I lost a point and a half. I would have been at a 7 GDP, which hasn't been seen, I don't know, ever, maybe ever.
Yeah.
And I think 26 is even going to be better. You know, we have hundreds of
Excuse
billions
me.
of dollars pouring into our country. Actually, trillions. $18 trillion is being invested in our country.
$18 trillion.
There are factories and plants and thousands of businesses being built all over the country.
Have a nice
Nobody
day.
has ever
You
seen
too.
it. I just spoke to President Xi of China. Nobody has ever seen anything like what's happening right now in America.
When will we see those jobs and those factories open? Because manufacturing has been down.
Well, you're already seeing it in construction because they're all building. You know, we have factories being built, car plants are coming in from Canada, coming in from Mexico. They're leaving Germany, Japan. They're all coming into the United States. And you're seeing it in your construction numbers. And, you know, the plant, we have to build them. And the plants are under construction.
In your term, you think those plants will open in your term?
They'll be opening up over the next year, year and a half.
Welcome to
You've
the
had
show,
successes on
Nicole.
immigration, some big ones. Illegal border crossings are at historic lows, but the entire country watched those videos of 2 Americans being killed in Minneapolis. You've gotten calls from your own supporters to make changes, and now you're pulling out some officers from Minneapolis. Are there more changes coming?
Well, the reason we're pulling out because we've done a great job there. You know, we have crime down there despite tremendous blowback from a governor that's incompetent and from a mayor who's just, I don't know what the hell, where he comes from. But the numbers, the crime numbers in Minnesota and Minneapolis in particular are down 25, 30% because we've removed thousands of criminals from the area. These are hardened criminals that came in, many of them, most of them came in through an open border. And we've done a great job. But look at Washington, D.C. It's like a safe city. You can walk to the White House. You didn't have to take an armored vehicle. You could
Yes.
walk. Washington,
You
safe.
know he is.
Look at what happened in
Welcome to the
in
show,
Louisiana.
71.
I got a call from the governor. Please do something with New Orleans. We went there 4 weeks ago. Crime is down 71%.
Thank you.
Memphis, Tennessee, crime is down 80% after 5 weeks. And here's a big thing. Crime historically in this country, it's down at the lowest level it's ever been. And a bad word, murder. We've had less murders than we have had in decades.
Yeah. One more question on the Super Bowl.
And you know why? Because we're tough on crime.
The Super Bowl is this sort of rare time in America, right, where we're all united. It's a common experience. There's still divisions in this country, right? And Democrats will say it's all because of you, and then Republicans will say Democrats don't want to work with President Trump. They blame President Trump for everything. What's one thing you can do, really, to help Americans find common ground?
Well, you know, we're working on
I don't even
the
know.
Save America Act, which is going to secure up a lot of things, but secure up our voting. I think people would like to do it, and I think Democrats would too. You know, when you go to voter ID and you ask Democrats, it's polling at 82% with Democrats. I'm not talking about Democrat politicians. I'm talking about Democrats. We have to do something about our voting. We need strong borders. We need a fair press, which we don't have. And we need, and very importantly, we need the strong border, the fair press, and we need fair elections. We need elections where people aren't able to cheat. And we're going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get it done. And by the way, it polls, even with Democrats, they want that.
People come to us and their teeth are so bad that they all need to be extracted. They all need to be taken out.
Okay, let's drill down into the news today. That big change on immigration, 700 officers leaving Minneapolis. Did that come from you?
Yes, it did. But it didn't come from me because I just wanted to do it. We are waiting for them to release
I
prisoners,
saw
give us
50 years
the
ago he
murderers that
was
they're holding, and all of the
a
bad
coon
people, drug
artist.
dealers, all of the bad people. We allowed in our country,
Didn't
I'd
hear
say
you.
25 million people with an open border policy for 4 years under Biden and that group, the AutoPen group, I call them. We allowed to come into our country people the likes of which no country would accept. And we're getting them out. But we've gotten a lot of them out. So crime now in Minnesota, crime now in Minneapolis is down. Crime in all cities is down. And you know why it's down? It's down because of us. It's down in Chicago by 25%, despite the fact that we are always dealing with these people, and they happen to be Democrats
Speaking of
that don't know anything about crime prevention.
Mr. President, speaking of Minneapolis, what did you learn?
I learned that
Facts.
maybe we can use a little bit of a
True
softer
story.
touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals. But look, I've called the people. I've called the governor. I've called the mayor, spoke to them, had great conversations with them, and then I see them ranting and raving out there, literally as though a call wasn't made. We've done a great job everywhere. The only place there's been a little inflammation has been really, it's not Minnesota, because we've done well with
Los
crime.
Angeles, too. There's been others. Yeah.
Well, I saved Los Angeles. The top law enforcement officer, right at the beginning of my time when they were having riots, before me, and it carried into me. If I didn't go in there with the National Guard, with troops, you wouldn't have the Olympics, which I got. I got the Olympics. You wouldn't have the Olympics in Los Angeles. And he said,
yes, he do.
the president sending in the troops, we would have lost.
That's what he do.
Angeles. And you know
brainwash
what? I saved
people. You
Los
know
Angeles.
that?
And we will do it again if we have to. And by the way, we're going to have a very safe Olympics, and we're going to have a very safe World Cup.
Speaking of Minneapolis, after the shooting of Renee Good, you said ICE made some mistakes. What were the mistakes?
Well, look, I'm not happy with the two incidents. It's not, it's both of them. Not one
Welcome
or the
to
other.
the show. Welcome to the show.
He was not an angel, and she was not an angel. You look at some tapes from back, but still, I'm not happy with what happened there. Nobody could be happy, and ICE wasn't happy either. But I'm going to always be with our great people of law enforcement, ICE, police. We have to back them. If we don't back them, we don't have a country. If we don't back them, you're going to end up, look, Washington, D.C. was a very unsafe place to be. You couldn't walk to the White House. You couldn't walk to a restaurant. Restaurants were closing. I inherited not only a mess with the country, I inherited a horrible, very dangerous capital. Do you know Washington, D.C. is now an extremely safe place? You see what happened. You're here a lot.
When you mentioned Renee
Good.
Let
me ask you, Tom.
Yeah.
You're here a lot.
Yeah.
Would you have walked down the street a year and a half ago with your family? No. But today you can, and nothing's going to happen.
You mentioned Renee Good and Alex Peretti not being angels. Do you think any of that justified what happened to them, though?
No. I don't.
It
should have not happened.
It
it was a very sad, to me, it was a very sad incident, two incidents. And, they mentioned the one now, they don't mention the other. Well, I think they were both sad. And you know who feels worse about it than anybody? The people of ICE. They're strong, tough people. And they have to be tough because we're dealing with hardened criminals.
Right.
We're dealing with people, jails have been emptied into our country from all over the world, from Venezuela, where we had great success, you will admit, but from Venezuela, from the Congo in Africa, from all over the world. Jails, the jail population was emptied into our country. If we don't have strong people, you're not getting them out.
Yeah.
And we're getting them out. Remember this again, I say it again and again. We have record low crime in the United States. Nobody's been able to say that for 125 years.
So I want to be clear because it
He's
sounds
just gone,
like there is
man.
a shift in
He don't even know what he's doing.
here, that there's going to be a shift after Minneapolis. What should Americans expect going forward?
Well, one thing I say to my people,
He don't even know what he's doing, man. He's just everywhere.
They have to ask and they have to say please. When a city is
who has to ask and who has to say please?
The mayor or the governor. I don't want to go and force ourselves into a city, even if their numbers are terrible. Like, for instance, I got a call
even if their numbers is terrible.
Louisiana. He said, we have a big problem. Could you go in and help us with with,
Trump
well,
is
let's see,
advanced the
certain
white
sections. I mean, to be honest with
supreme
you,
agent.
certain
Yes, he
sections
is.
of the state,
You ain't
beyond
lying
their
that.
famous,
You ain't lying
beautiful
about
city,
that.
certain sections of the state. We have done, not only in New Orleans, we've done a really great
He
job
got
in
dementia,
Louisiana, but I was
bro.
called. I want to be called. Chicago, we could
No,
solve
for
the
real.
Chicago crime.
Well, on that question, which cities are you headed to next?
We have 5 cities that we're looking at very strongly, but we want to be invited. We will sometimes call the governors and
Are
say,
they cities like
you going to
Chicago,
invite-"
Philadelphia? Are these the cities?
We could straighten out the crime in Chicago. We've already brought it down 25% just by being there. We could have Chicago be a safe city, just like DC is a safe city, just like all of these places that we've gone to. And I look forward. You know, I didn't
All
campaign on that.
politics
I
live.
campaigned
Yes.
on law and order, but I
Welcome to
didn't
the
think I'd be
show.
going into individual cities and making them safe.
Anything else you can tell us about the 5 cities? The 5 cities, anything else? So Americans are ready?
We'll be announcing them very
If
quickly,
Trump should
but
pass
we
before
could
I
do
wake,
something. As an
I
example,
pray,
I was
Lord,
called by
that
people.
dudes ain't fake.
San
I'm
Francisco said,
dead.
please, we have a Democrat mayor. He's trying very
I'm
hard.
dead.
Would you, friends of mine that live there, it's got crime problems. Would you let him do the job and not come in? Let's see how it works. I said, look, I can do it much quicker, much faster. Don't forget, we remove criminals. We took over
We
2,000
remove criminals.
hardcore criminals out of Washington, D.C. If we
You
didn't do
praying
that,
for death.
2% of the people
you pray.
create 90% of the crime. Think of that, 2%. So you have a criminal,
Stand behind the
it's over and
scene.
over again.
He has evil
2%
people helping him.
create
Yeah.
90% of the crime. We took out 2,000 people, more than 2,000 people out of Washington, D.C., and we now have a safe city.
You, as I mentioned, you've had success on immigration. Illegal border crossings are at historic lows, right?
You know, it's so nice that you said that.
But if you look
no,
at the
Tom,
okay,
what you just said.
it's true.
No, but it's so nice. I hope you air it. It's so nice what you said, because that's called good reporting. That's called fair reporting. Now give me the second part.
Now let me give you the second part of the question. But
I don't want to hear the second part.
But if you look at the polls, most Americans say they don't like how you've handled immigration, right? Especially what's happened in Minneapolis. How do you change their minds?
Well, I don't believe the polls, for one thing, because how can you not I saw a poll in the border where I'm at 55%, okay?
The polls show
Said
that Americans aren't
Democrats
against
is
the
not smart
deportations.
enough
It's the
to see
handling of
their
immigration.
own
polls. It depends
problems.
on the way you ask the question.
Fact.
I saw a poll on the border. I'm at 55%. Well, how could I only be at 55% when everybody agrees that the border is totally, beautifully closed and nobody's coming in unless they come in legally, et cetera. It couldn't be better. I should be at 100%. I don't believe the polls. And some polls, I mean, I could show you polls where I'm polling at 69% popularity, and some polls where I have one at
We will ask the White House to share that with us. Yeah.
71%. And then I have polls where I'm at 44% and 42%. The polls are almost dishonest, almost as dishonest as some of the reporters themselves. But I'm getting very good polls. I'm getting very good polls on crime prevention, on law and order, and on the border. I have to. And I'm starting to get great polls on the economy, which I think is
the polls on the economy they're not great.
They should be great.
They should be.
They should be great.
I don't know. I mean, look, I've got
Americans tell us, we hear this. I mean, we're going to get into the economy later, but they tell us they don't feel it.
Just understand. I have $18 trillion being invested into the country.
Damn, 18 trillion.
Less than $1 trillion.
It's a lot of money.
Years, and the whole country was going to credit.
When does America feel it?
Do you know that if they won that election, and we won in a landslide, do you know if they won that election, this country I think it was finished. I actually think it was finished. You would have had people, instead of 18 coming in, 18 trillion, you would have had $10 trillion leaving. I think our country, I think we would have been Venezuela on steroids.
I have a question on immigration still, looking forward now. Your goal during the election was
Welcome to the show, Josh.
Came here illegally under President Biden. Is your mission now to deport everyone who came in illegally, or just people who have come in illegally?
That man's sending everybody back.
Totally
everybody getting
criminals,
sent back.
Really bad criminals. Now, you could say people that came in illegally are criminals, but I'm talking about murderers from different countries. We have 11,888 murderers that Biden and his group led into our country. We've captured a lot of them. We've brought some of them back. A lot of them we don't want to bring back because we don't trust the country that they're not sent back again. Despite how strong the borders are, they'll figure a way to try and get in. and we don't want to, and we'll incarcerate them. But 11,888 murders.
Yeah.
We are after those people. We're after the drug dealers.
Right.
We're after the. We are.
Said we after
by the
the
way,
drug
big
dealers.
problem. They allowed to come into our country people from their mental institutions, people from insane asylums that are mentally ill and very dangerous. We're getting them out.
Joe Rogan, who was one of your biggest endorsers in 2024, he said he understands that the president's sort of plan to deport people here who are here illegally, but he also understands why critics compare ICE officers to the Gestapo asking people for their papers. What's your response to him?
Well, look, first of all, he's a great guy. We had a tremendous success.
First of all, he's a great guy.
It was his biggest interview ever, and over 300 million people. It was very good. She didn't want to do it, you know. She decided not to do it because she's not capable. But I spoke to him 3 days ago. We had a great conversation, and all I'm doing, I have to keep.
Did he mention this to you? Did you guys talk about this?
I do not
ICE
like
endorsement?
I just had a good conversation. I think he's a great guy. I think he likes me too. And, you know, liking me isn't important. What happens is that I think we do a phenomenal job, but I don't think we're good at public
phenomenal
relations.
job.
What does that mean? You've said that a couple times now. What do you mean by that?
We don't sell the great job that we're doing. Look, we have the safest
Is that
country.
your staff? Are those your staffers?
Excuse me, people from
Excuse me.
somewhat left, do a job on numbers. It just came out that in 125 years, we have the safest country. The best crime numbers since the year 1900.
That's a stat. Yeah, we know
That
it's
was
true.
way before my father was born.
Right.
Think of that. And yet,
Way before my father was
and
born.
you talk about crime, or you talk about this, or you talk about that, and the poll numbers aren't that good. People, we don't do a good public relations job. That's why I'm doing the interview with you today.
We appreciate
I'm trying to
it.
help my people. You know, PR, public relations.
Speaking of your people, you're never afraid to shake up your team. You've said that you're okay with shaking up your team. Do you still believe in Kristi Noem to deliver on your vision of immigration?
Look, she was in charge of the border. The border's closed. I mean, everybody gives me an A+ on the border. The border was a disaster. People were pouring into our country.
But what about the
They
enforcement?
don't even try and come up now. You know the beautiful thing? The caravans. I think I came up with that name.
The
Thousands of people,
caravans.
25, 30,000 people in a group. You know who sent them? Their countries. They sent the people that they didn't want. Not only criminals, people that didn't want to work hard, etc. They know who it is.
They know who it is.
We have nobody coming in anymore. We have very good. You just asked me, Kristi, we have the best crime numbers that we've had in 125 years. I think she's doing a very good job. Again, public relations. She's not getting credit for the job that she does.
Let's move to the economy now.
And excuse me, what is sad though?
Welcome to the show,
We had the two
715,
incidents, the two
6715.
primary
Welcome to the
incidents
show.
in, Minnesota. So
And you shook up leadership there. You brought Tom Homan in.
yeah, I did, and Tom is great. Tom is a superstar. But you do thousands of arrests. You arrest thousands of rapists. You arrest thousands of the worst people. You arrest the drug dealers. I mean, we had drug kingpins. We had murderers. Thousands. No incident. We bring them back to
This
their
dude is
country.
such a.
Two people. It's bad. I hate it. I hate even talking about it. Two people
Nobody
out of tens of thousands.
The entire
Okay.
world is laughing
And you get bad
at his
publicity.
dumb ass.
Nobody talks
Right.
about all of the murderers that were taken out of our country. They don't talk about.
But it was two
They
Americans
don't talk
who died,
about.
you
We
know?
have the smallest trucks. As an example, we've been very tough on the waters, and soon, you know, pretty much overall. But if you
the
look
waters?
at the waters where we knock out boats,
Oh.
each boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. We're doing a job like nobody's ever seen before.
That's
I
a
just
lot
got
of
off the
lives they
phone with
saving.
President Xi, and he is amazed at how well the United States
Sure
is
was.
doing.
Yes, yes,
What-
yes.
He said he's never seen anything like it.
You brought the
I'm
conversation,
sorry.
Mr. President, so let me ask you,
I'm
what did you
supposed to
talk
listen
about
to this
with the leader of
moron
China?
A
because
lot
he
of
like they
topics.
never
We talked
moron.
What's the most
about-
important topic? Is it chips? Is it the wars?
Welcome to the
Ukraine?
show.
I mean,
Welcome
I
to
would
the
say
show.
The economy.
7997. Welcome to the show.
I'm going to be going there in April. Then he's coming here toward the end of the year.
Coming to the White House?
He's coming to the White House, toward the end of the year. We have a very good relationship. And, you know, it's important that I have a good relationship, and for him that he has a good relationship with me. We have to have a good. These are the two most powerful countries in the world, and we have a very good relationship.
You talk about
We
tariffs.
spoke for an hour.
Does he ask you about the
He
tariffs?
making
Is he
up
saying this
Well,
is
stuff.
they're
hurting
paying
us?
a lot of tariffs, as you know.
Yes,
China's
he,
paying a lot of tariffs.
he make
In the
up
past,
stuff
I
as
think
he
I'm the
talk.
one that put tariffs on China. I put tariffs on a lot of tariffs, or just so you understand, making our country rich. Our country has taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, really trillions, because
Yeah.
the threat of tariffs is getting all of these countries to lose to us.
Yeah.
And by the way, they've been doing it to us for 40 years. And now, but I'm doing it very judiciously, very fairly. But tariffs are bringing in tremendous amounts of money. I just gave $12 billion to our farmers because they were mistreated by certain countries.
Yeah.
Tariff money. We're taking in
Tariff
hundreds
money.
of billions.
No, and I want to ask you
of
about that. I want to get into that. Talking about the economy, you've brought a lot of prices down, as we said. Some are still stubborn.
Very few.
But when you, yeah, very few. I get it.
Tom,
I get it.
very
Yeah.
few.
When
He
you
destroyed
talk to
everything
Americans,
he
though,
touched. He
do you have to get them
runs
to
America.
understand
He
that
has
the
it.
prices are not going to come back down to your
What an
first term because
idiot.
we had a pandemic and we had
Yes.
record inflation? Are people's expectations too high, or is it just too expensive to live in America?
I just, again, don't think we're selling it properly. We've done a great job.
But it's expensive out there.
You saw gasoline this last week at $1.99 a gallon. It used to be, it was $4.50, $5 a gallon. $1.99 a gallon gasoline. I think we've really bring it. I mean, I don't expect them to be much higher. Now, there's a natural inflation.
But they're never going to go
this,
down to that first term.
I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. It was through the roof. Now,
240.
you will say it
Very
wasn't
few
in
he
history. It
say.
was 48 years. You know, there's a theory that was, I say it was the worst. But whether it's 48 years, I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country, and now we have almost no inflation. Think of it.
Right.
You know what it was for the last 3 months? 1.2%. You know what it was under Biden? You can't count that high.
Yeah.
I inherited the worst inflation. I inherited the worst crime. I inherited high prices. So when I inherited
Inflation is
all
down
of those
2.7 right now, but it is down.
No.
Yeah.
For the last three, don't forget, I inherited this mess.
Right.
For the last 3 months, it's at 1.2%. You know that.
Yeah.
Damn.
But the last, okay.
Last 3 months.
You floated the idea of
Okay.
$2,000 rebate checks for Americans from tariff revenue. Who's going to get that, and when is that going to happen?
We'd make it. I'm looking at it very seriously. I'm the only one can do it because I'm taking in hundreds of billions of dollars.
But you promise some Americans will get those checks?
Oh yeah, sure. I can do that. I haven't made the commitment yet, but I may make the commitment.
So it's not a
Well, I
done
just
deal.
gave 1776, right?
Yeah.
To the military. Right? $1,776.
But you said
That's
also
a lot. Oh yeah,
1775.
for the military,
presented it to
he
me.
did just do
Because
that.
that's what we have in a budget that I created because I want to take care of our military. Nobody takes care of the military like I do.
Yeah.
So $1,775.
Then he promised he
I
would.
said, wait a minute. If you had
Everything the first day. Yes, he did.
You
know
know
he
that's
did.
quite a famous state.
Yeah, of
right?
course, of course.
So anyway,
That shit out the
so
door
I
though.
gave 1,776 to our military, and they are very thankful.
Let's get to the Fed.
And now I may be doing
Yeah.
that with regard to the entire population.
Okay, let's get to the Fed. Is there any doubt in your mind that interest rates are going to be lowered?
Not much.
Why? How can you say
I
that?
just think they're going to be lowered. I mean, they should.
Is your
be
new
lowered.
Fed pick on board with that?
We're way high. Okay, we're way high in interest. We have now, with me and with all the money, I've always been good at money. And with all the money coming into our country, we're a rich
The
country.
man said,
again.
"I always been good
We
with
have
money."
debt, but we also have growth.
He
And the
doesn't
growth
take
will soon
care.
make the debt look very small.
Made a commitment to
Because it's the
lie,
greatest
cheating,
way, you have
and
two
being
ways. You
murdered.
can
Yes, he
cut,
did.
and we do that anyway, and we did
He
that.
doesn't take care
You know,
of the
we got rid of
military. He is current
hundreds of
right now
thousands of
today,
federal
sending them
workers.
into war. He got
And
no right to
those
stop.
workers went out
Yeah.
and got themselves jobs
Yes,
in
you are
the
exactly
free
right.
enterprise system.
That's what
and
he
you know what?
doing.
That's called making America
I
great again.
mean, the
We
answer
had
is
10
no.
workers in the federal government for every single job. When the Democrats go in, they hire. I could right now give you the
of these
best
clowns is
employment numbers
25
in history.
million.
You know what
Yes,
I do? Go out
Mo.
and hire 2 million people, put them in the federal government.
Does your new Fed
I
pick?
do the
Yeah.
opposite.
Does your new Fed pick understand that you want him to lower interest rates?
Oh, I think he does, but I think he wants to anyway. I
Interested
mean,
in
if he
going
came
to
in and
be
said, I want to
lower,
raise
he
it,
would say.
we
If
should
he said
have
that,
him.
you wouldn't have gotten the job.
He would not have gotten
That
the job.
means
no.
the answer is
If I
no.
thought he was
Trump
a
is a
interest
fat
rate.
fucking
Now, there'll
pig,
be
rapist,
times
American
if I
blood.
see inflation on the horizon, but we
Damn.
don't have that. We have low inflation. Remember,
Yeah.
1.2% inflation in the last 3 months. We have low inflation and we have tremendous growth. You haven't had these numbers like this. We have, think of it, low inflation, great growth. Now, all I have to do is one thing, easy, get down the interest rates.
Do you think the Fed chair answers to you, or is it an independent body?
425 in America.
In theory,
And
it's an
yet
independent
this.
body, but I think, I'm a smart guy. I know the economy better than almost everybody.
So he answers to you.
They did that prediction chart a year ago, and they had 71 great economists and me making the predictions. And, only two people were right, me and one other guy who is a very smart professor from a certain school that I went to.
Yeah.
Very good school.
Certain school I went to.
The two of us were right. Everybody else was wrong.
There's been bipartisan suggestions that the criminal investigation to the current Fed chair, Jerome Powell, is payback, right? For not lowering interest rates, but also for when he was in that sort of news conference with the hard hats and he was shaking his head and showing you the papers and disagreeing with you in public.
Welcome to the show, 2853.
He was very respectful to me. He wasn't just, he was explaining to me.
Yeah.
I'm asking him, why are you spending almost $4 billion on a very small little complex of buildings? It's the highest price per square foot. He's renovating buildings for $3 to $4 billion. And this Fed chair that I have I think is going to be great. He might not have a home because this guy has spent so much money. And I looked, it's a see-through. There's nothing inside. They are spending money. He's in charge of the project.
Yeah.
This is the Federal Reserve building I'm talking about. It's a very small little, it's actually a couple of little buildings. They're spending more money than any building ever built in history per square foot.
Some Republican senators say they're not going to approve him unless you drop that investigation.
A lot of people say a lot of things.
You don't think that's true?
A lot of people say a lot of things.
Is it worth it to drop the investigation to get your Fed chair through?
I think the investigation is the investigation. It's being handled by Pam and Janine and the people. They'll make their own decision on it.
Let's talk about AI. Have you ever used...
But I do say this about...
Yeah.
You can't let a man spend billions of dollars doing a bill. I would have done that job for $25 million, and it would have been done much better.
Right.
They're spending billions of dollars on a renovation of a little complex.
Let's talk about AI. Have you ever used ChatGPT or Claude?
I haven't really, but I know all about it. Let me just talk about AI.
Yeah.
AI is a big deal. AI
is a big deal.
Going to be maybe the biggest thing, bigger than the internet, bigger than anything else. We are leading China by a lot. We are leading everybody by a lot. They're all building their factories here. And you know what I did for the electric? Because they need twice the electric as we currently produce for the whole country, which is crazy. Nobody can do that. But so what I did is I came up with a concept. Each building that is built is going to generate their own electricity. They're going to build their own electric plant. We are building numbers of AI. And by the way, also auto plants, everything.
Right.
We're building everything. But do you know, I just left Michigan. I was with Ford. They were going to close this building that was built in the early 1900s, one of the biggest factories. They were going to close it. It was scheduled to close prior to my election. Right. After I won the election, they said, let's try keeping it open. They just went to 3 shifts. Right. It's 24 hours a day. And the head of Ford, Mr. Ford, said it's the most incredible auto comeback I've ever seen.
Mr. President, let me ask you, there's no doubt you are the president who's ushering in the AI revolution, but this is happening on your watch. If AI affects humanity in a negative way, is that on you? Because some of these CEOs of AI companies say, we need guardrails. This could get out of control. Does that worry you?
Everything's on me as president. Everything's on me. I can say this, it'll be the greatest jobs producer. It'll be the greatest military producer. It'll be the greatest medical producer.
The greatest military.
There'll be tremendous good. And there'll be probably some bad too.
Well, it's killing a lot of jobs. And what do you say to Americans who are going to lose their jobs to AI?
It's going to create a lot of jobs.
But right now it's taking jobs in a lot of ways. It's taking jobs from companies like Amazon. What would you say to those Americans?
But it hasn't really started. These major plants haven't even been built. What you're going to
but Mr. President, AI has already started to take jobs because the technology is there.
So we have, it's just announced, more jobs right now occupied in the United States of America than at any time during its existence, 250 years. There are more people working today than at any time in the history of our country. Pretty good stat.
That
kills that question.
Yeah, we have to look it up.
That's a good answer. That kills that question.
Mr. President, there's widespread concern that AI is going to wipe out a lot of jobs, manufacturing jobs.
They said the internet was going to do everything. Was going to do. Robots are going to kill jobs. Everything's going to kill jobs, and you end up, if you're smart, doing great.
Okay, you are close with the Ellisons, who are trying to stop a merger between Warner Brothers, Discovery, and Netflix. This deal could change the makeup of the media as we know it. Are you personally going to get involved in that deal?
I haven't been involved. I must say, I guess I'm considered to be a very strong president. I've been called by both sides. It's the two sides. But I've decided I shouldn't be involved. The Justice Department will handle it.
Okay. In what way? Just looking at it to see if it's
they're going to make a decision. I mean, there's a theory that one of the companies is too big and it shouldn't be allowed to do it, and the other company is saying something else about, they're knocking the hell out of each other.
But you're not going to interfere, even though you're close with the Ellisons.
They're beating the hell out of each other, and there'll be a winner.
Okay, let's talk about the midterms. You've recently suggested nationalizing elections. What do you mean by that?
And I didn't say national. I said there are some areas in our country that are extremely corrupt.
And they're like, yes,
Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at Philadelphia.
We got it bad, I'm telling you.
There are some areas that are unbelievably corrupt. I could give you plenty more, too. I say that we cannot have corrupt elections. If we have to, if they don't straighten it out. As an example, voter ID. Why don't the Democrats want voter ID? You know who does want voter ID? Democrat voters want it, but Democrat politicians don't. Why don't they want it? Because they want to cheat on elections.
They want to cheat on elections.
If I were a politician and they asked me, do you want voter identification? And I said, no, there's no way you could win that debate. But even the Democrats don't want voter ID. If they don't want voter ID, that means they want to cheat. We can't allow cheating in elections. Now, if we need to put in federal controls as opposed to state controls, remember this, they're really an agent. They're really accumulating the votes for who wins an election. If they can't do it honestly and it can't be done properly and timely, then something else has to happen.
Will you trust the results of the midterms if Republicans lose control of Congress?
I will, if the elections are honest. Look, I want the last one that wants to complain. I just had a great election. They say one of the greatest elections.
Lifelong liars,
you will agree,
but the
ever.
dumb ones.
Won all 7 swing states. Won 84% of the counties in America. That's why the map is all red. We just had a great election. I believe there was cheating. I think there was cheating.
Well, speaking of counties, what are you doing in Fulton County?
It was too big to read.
Speaking of counties, what is happening in Fulton County?
I'm not doing anything, but the FBI went in because it's been under I guess, review for years.
I guess review.
The cheating that took place in Fulton
County
are they looking for? And in that particular
nobody knows
state.
what's in the warrant. What are they looking for?
Find out. Look, why would anybody be upset that they went in and they got the ballots? I guess, right? Yeah. Again, they did this. That's been under review and under investigation
the beast that rose out the sea.
And now they got a court order. You know, they got a court order signed by
but nobody knows what
a
the evidence
respected but liberal judge signed a court order
the
allowing them to go and pick them up. Well, you're going to know what the ballots say because they're right now inspecting the ballot. I'm not involved in it, but they are inspecting and checking the ballot.
Why is Tulsi Gabbard there?
I don't know, but you know,
I don't know.
Cheating comes from. It's international cheating. You have people, they say, from China trying to.
You put this on Truth Social.
Do you think China tries to influence our election?
We know that foreign governments try to influence a lot of things in this country.
Therefore, she's foreign government.
But she's tweeted out some theories about aliens and satellites. I mean, do you believe that stuff?
No, I didn't cheat. I sometimes will read truth.
Yeah.
I will read truth. Okay. But let me ask you this. If China or any of these countries are involved in our elections, that would bring her into it. And everybody knows that Russia, they talked about Russia, it turned out to be a hoax. It was Hunter Biden, it wasn't Russia. Look, we have to have honest elections.
Yeah.
There should be nothing wrong with the fact that they went in, got ballots from a while ago, and they're going to look at them. And now they're going to find out the true winner of that state. Yeah. And you know what? If there was cheating, which there was,
You know
if there was
what?
cheating, it should be found because we can't let it happen again.
Mr. President, I have a few more important questions for you. That's okay with you? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, they've all been important.
Let's go to. There's a new lawsuit by you and your family that you're suing the IRS for $10.5 billion for leaking your tax documents.
Yeah.
Is this a good use of taxpayer
He
money?
said, y'all.
You can't leak documents. And any money that I win, I'll give it to charity, 100% to charities. Charities that will be approved by government or whatever.
And
I have another lawsuit with the United States. I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago.
But that's taxpayer money. It's going to get taken out of the system. I know it's going to charity, you're going to say.
And I've won that case. I mean, they broke
We
in, the
had some
FBI
current
illegally,
legislators
Biden
for the criminals.
and his group. It wasn't Biden. He didn't know what he was doing. It was a group of very smart radical left people. They're very smart. They've lost their way.
Right.
And they broke into Mar-a-Lago. They broke into my home. They went through
Well, they had warrants. They
my
didn't break in,
wife's drawers.
Yeah.
They went through, that's a double meaning. They went through Barron's, my son's, everything. They went through the whole house. Hundreds of people. They went in with guns.
They went through the whole house.
How would this
have been
work?
ablazing.
So how would this work?
Wait. I brought a lawsuit. Essentially, the lawsuit's been won. I guess I won a lot of money.
How would this work, though? Scott Bessent's the head of the IRS. Pam Bondi's the head of the Justice Department. They're going to defend the IRS against you. You're their boss.
Well, there's never been anything like it.
So are you going to tell them to pay you?
Don't forget, I sued as a private citizen because I sued between terms. I won three times. I won 3 times, but I didn't assume, unfortunately for this country, I didn't assume office the second time. But here's the story. I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago. That was before I became president. Now it goes along, and it turned out that the suit is a very strong suit.
You're going to tell them to pay you, though? Because you're the boss.
Well, what I would do, tell them to pay me, but I'll give 100% of the money to charity. I don't want any of the money.
You take it out of the system.
I don't want none of that money.
No, I'm putting it back into the system.
Yeah.
If I give money to American Cancer Society, I will give 100% of the money away to charity. I don't want any of it.
$30 trillion debt, and we're going to take $10 billion out of the system?
Well, I mean, you give it away anyway. They give away a lot of money.
Your endorsement
I'll tell you
is
what, speaking about that, Minnesota and these other states, we have massive investigations going into fraud.
Yeah.
Do you know if we captured 50% of the fraud of this country right now, we would have better than a balanced budget. And you got to mention that Minnesota, $19 billion in fraud that we know about.
Your endorsement is the most important thing in the Republican primary.
No, in any primary.
Will you endorse in the 2028 presidential primary?
I hadn't even thought of it, but probably, yeah. I mean, I'd be inclined to. I have great people. We have a great bench. We have a lot of people. But, yeah, I think so.
You've suggested that J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio would be a tough ticket to beat. Who should be at the top of that ticket?
Well, I don't want to get into this. We have 3 years to go. I don't want to, I have 2 people that are doing a great job. I don't want to have an argument with, I don't want to use the word fight. It wouldn't be a fight. But look, JD is fantastic, and Marco is fantastic.
The first computer we sold, 666, look it up.
It's a great question. I think that's your most interesting question.
Yeah. Okay, I ain't know that.
Say one is slightly more diplomatic than the other. I think they're both of very high intelligence. I mean, they will do shows. They will do Joe Rogan as opposed to the opponent not doing it because they couldn't handle it. They will be able to do whatever they have to do. I think there's a difference in style. You can see the style yourself, but they're both very capable. I do think the combination of JD and Marco would be very hard to be beaten, I think.
I didn't understand how people listen to the words come out of his mouth.
In the age of Trump, you never know.
Yeah. On January 21st, 2029, do you see any scenario where you are still president?
I don't know. It would be interesting. But wouldn't it be terrible if I agreed with, if I gave you the answer that you're looking for? It would make life so much less exciting, right? It would be so much less exciting. But I only do this for one reason. Make America great again.
How quick people forget, can you just
We're making America great again, greater than ever before. Our country is greater than ever before. We're a rich nation. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from nations that took advantage of us. They thought we were stupid. They thought we were fools. They laughed at us. People were laughing at us 1.5 years ago. They laughed at this country. They're not laughing anymore. They respect us. And I get along with them. They respect us.
Mr. President, I have pages and pages of questions, but they're telling me my time is up. I thank you for your time.
I'll do it again. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you.
That concludes the sit-down portion of our interview with the president. Right after this break, we'll show you our walk and talk inside the Oval Office where we discussed Iran, the Clintons, and the president's own health. Stay with us.
Y'all know what it is. We about to walk the White House now.
We're back now with the rest of the full interview with President Trump following our exclusive sit-down. We immediately continued the conversation where he showed me some of the Oval Office, but we also discussed important topics like Iran, Cuba, and his own health. Here's that conversation in its entirety.
This room had almost no pictures up.
Yeah.
And these pictures all came from the vaults.
Yeah.
And they're magnificent.
The
I mean, I think
UPC
they're
code,
magnificent.
the
And
lines
all,
that hang
you know,
down
first
further.
run,
Yeah.
top of the line stuff.
666
But mostly a
Stumphead.
presidential. We have a couple with Ben Franklin, but I think he qualifies, right? Ben
Yeah.
What's up, Ryan?
Is there any one you ever kind of hone in on where you're thinking deeply about anything, about an issue? Is there one you look at?
Maybe all of them. They're so different. George Washington, and you have Jefferson, and I took Ronald Reagan in. Gave me a place of honor also. Did a great job.
Welcome to the show, State. Welcome to the
Lincoln.
show.
Who do you have up here? I mean, these are big ones
That's
here.
Ulysses S. Grant, George Washington. Here we have the famous, come on over here. Here we have Declaration
It's
of
wild that
Independence.
Peter Trump
That's one of
still
the
has
three.
supporters.
This was in the vaults for many
Yeah.
years, and it's time to.
They
take
love
it.
Trump,
Do you
man.
think
You know
at
they
one
love
point
Trump.
people will talk about you when they talk about presidents like Washington and Lincoln? Is that something you think is
All
going to
I know
happen?
is this: it's such an honor. But all I know, I'm walking down, and everyone's screaming, "Goat, goat!" I said, "What are they talking about?" I hope they're right, not for me, but for the country. Because if I
Yeah.
do a great job, that means the country is doing well.
You're building the new ballroom. We hear about this new arch you're
The
building, the
prefix
Garden
to
of
the
Heroes as
system.
well. You're building a lot of things that are going to cement your legacy. Are you also doing this so the country never forgets you?
No, I think we need glamour brought back to our country. We need prestige. We need beauty brought. I mean, in addition to everything else, we need strength. We need all of those things. Like I'm doing an arc, a triumphal, they call it a triumphal arc. 57 cities have arcs.
Yeah.
We're the only major important city. Washington, D.C. should have maybe the first arc.
Yeah.
We're doing one that will be more magnificent and larger than the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. I would say the Paris Arc is probably the most
Stunning.
It's incredible.
Who-
We're going to do one that's going to top it.
Is it true it's going to be 250 feet to mark
It'll
the
be about
anniversary?
that, yeah. It'll be a little bit taller than the one in Paris. It'll be a
Trump
little
is the
bit
greatest
larger than the one in
president.
Paris.
You're doing a lot of things for the
Even
250th
button up
anniversary.
Democrat.
What do you want Americans to feel this July 4th?
Strength, victory, security. You have a secure country. We've done so much militarily. We have a great military. I mean, you saw Venezuela. That was the people, the general that was in charge. He lived. He said he's never seen anything like it. They were already.
You talked about the weapon, the discombobulator. What is that?
Discombobulator. Well, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
But what does it do?
Let me just tell you. You know what it does? None of their equipment works. That's what it does. Everything was.
How does it?
It was my name. I'm very proud of the name. Everything was discombobulated. It was, practically a shot.
It's trying
They
to
were
show
ready.
Right.
And when we
what's
came,
coming.
they couldn't do anything.
You saw this on the video. You could tell.
Tom, it discombobulated everything.
Nothing worked, even including humans.
Well, let's
it knocks
put it
the
this
humans
way.
out.
We lost no equipment in a very strong, and they're good fighters,
Yeah.
great fighters. In a very bad environment.
Don't worry about
It was a
left or
military
right.
Base,
Mm-hmm.
the biggest in
Worry
South
about
America.
forward,
In a
going
very-
straight
because the
forward.
house
You
was
with
in
me?
a base in South. In a very, very tough environment, we lost no men and we lost no equipment.
The discombobulator just knocked everything.
Well, it did something.
It did something. Did Delcy Rodriguez work with you guys before that raid?
I can't talk about that. I mean, I won't talk
Do you
about
trust her?
Well, so far she's done a great job. I mean, so far she and all of the people that are working with her. Remember in Iraq, they got rid of everybody. They had no generals, they had no people, they had nobody to run the government. Turned out to be a mess, and that's where ISIS came from. That's where ISIS came from. Came from the military and all the people. They formed ISIS. It was handled very badly. but this is handled very well.
Do you think the Cuban government will
This is
still be there?
very well.
Current leadership will still be there by the end of your term?
Well, Cuba, now you're asking a different question. Cuba's in big trouble. Humanitarian aid is going to have to be sent there. They're in big trouble.
It's a disaster.
They got their money from Venezuela. They got their oil from Venezuela. They turned the oil into money, et cetera, and there's none of that happening anymore. They're in big trouble. We are
Do you think that government is still there, though? Do you think that government lasts?
I don't want to say that, but we are talking to Cuba.
You're talking to Cuba.
You know what? Look, we have tens of thousands of people that were forced out there here.
10,000 of people.
94% Cuban population, previous Cuban population. Now they're Cuban Americans. Maybe they go back. Maybe they want to go back. They're going to have that choice. But for years, they've been talking about this happening. Now it's happening. We are talking to Cuba. We want to open it up to those people that want to visit. Even, I think most people, when they're here, they want to stay here. I hope that's true. I hope we're not going to lose them. But they're going to have options. And they're going to be able to go back, Tom, and see their loved ones, see their family, their friends.
Should the supreme leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried, yeah.
He should be very
As you know,
worried.
they're negotiating with us.
I know they are, but the protesters have said, where are the Americans? You promised them we would have their back. Do we still have their back?
Well, we've had their back. And look, that country's a mess right now because of us. We went in, we wiped out their nuclear.
So
If I didn't take out, we
out,
have peace in the Middle East.
Yeah.
If I didn't take out their nuclear, think of it. If we didn't take out that nuclear, we wouldn't have peace in the Middle East because the Arab countries could have never done that. They were very,
Have you
very
asked Jesus
afraid
in your
of Iran.
heart?
They're not afraid of Iran anymore. We wiped out those beautiful B-2 bombers. One's right over there. Those beautiful little model. Those beautiful B-2 bombers went in and they hit their target, every single bomb, and obliterated it. And because of that, they were going to have a nuclear weapon within 1 month.
Yeah.
Within 1 month, they were going to have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
That was a big threat. That they're not going to have it anymore.
But if we
Iran
obliterated,
is tough.
what's the deal about? I mean, if there's no more, are they trying to restart the nuclear program?
Well, I heard that they are, and if they do, and I let them know, if they do, we're going to send them right back and do their job again.
So your understanding is they tried to restart it, and that's why you're threatening force?
They tried to go back to the site. They weren't even able to get near it. There was total
Damn, they wasn't even getting near it. That's
They were
crazy.
thinking about starting a new site in a different part of the country. We found out about it. I said, you do that, we're going to do very bad things to you.
Yeah. Mr. President, the ballroom over here, I want you to show it to me, because the thing you said that stood out to me, it's going to be massive, but it's got a drone-proof ceiling and it's got bulletproof windows. What does that mean?
Bulletproof windows, because, well, we're in a different time.
Bulletproof
So
windows.
he's making a speech. We're going to have the inauguration there. We're going to probably have, I would say, definitely, it's going to be large enough, but we have drone-proof ceilings.
What does that mean?
That means if a drone hits the ceiling, it bounces off. It doesn't blow up a building.
It's a fortress,
It's protection.
It's going to be a fortress.
Well, it's going to be very heavy steel.
Okay.
Very simple. It's heavy steel.
Very heavy steel.
Because of that, do you...
And by the way, you
survived that assassination attempt that we all covered. It was terrible. 2 of them. Do you worry about your safety? I mean, when you think about the ball, you do?
I worry about it, but you have to put it out of your mind. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do your job.
You didn't think about it as much before. Now you think about it a lot.
Maybe it could be. I mean, you look statistically, I'm in a very dangerous job.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take a look at the walls, if you take a look, statistically, this is a much Goals are tough, right? But I wouldn't want to do that. But statistically, being president is the most dangerous job there is.
We first met 10 years ago when you were running the first time. How do you feel now as you approach 80?
I feel great. I mean, physically and mentally, I feel like I did 50 years ago. It's crazy. Now, there'll be a time when I won't be able to give you that answer. But that time hasn't come, I do. I think it's very important. I've done more physicals. I take physicals just to give the report out.
Yeah.
I take cognitive physicals. So I do a cognitive mind test, okay? And a lot of people wouldn't be able to do very well. Not easy. You get to those last questions. I've aced. I've done 3 of them. No other president has agreed to do them. I do them because I have no problem with it. Because
no other president.
I'm 100%. Now, there will be a time.
Still taking the aspirin? Still taking the aspirin?
I do. I take aspirin. And I don't want to change, I don't want to.
So you go against your doctor's orders. You do what you kind of feel.
I've been taking aspirin for 30 years, and I don't want to change it. So, you know, they say take the smaller one. I say, well, I want that blood to be nice and thin running through my heart.
Just
At any
wonder
point,
if
your
you
age impacts your
knew
job.
this thing I
Who's
said.
going to tell you that, or do you think you'll know yourself?
I think I'll know myself. Yeah. I think I'll know myself. I wouldn't do an interview with you, as an example.
I wouldn't do an
Did
interview
Biden
with
do an
you.
interview before Super Bowl? I'm not sure. Maybe he did.
Last
Maybe
one,
he
you didn't.
I mean, he
Why
wasn't
are you
capable of doing an
quoting
interview.
a racist liar?
And that was things. Look, you know, I know people that are 95 years old that are sharp as a tack. Biden was a bad thing for old people. He's the worst thing that ever happened to old people because he obviously didn't have it. And one of the things that's so depressing about the press is the press refused to report the
Israel's literally
obvious.
commitment.
And he did have
Go
very
as
smart
we
people
speak.
around him, but they had a radical
Yeah,
left
Trump is a
culture.
liar.
And they were very bad for this country. This country would not have survived 2 more years if one of them got elected.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to speak about the DOJ. I appreciate all your time
What
and of your
he
staff's
say?
time. They've been
We'll
very,
go
very
down.
kind.
Who does it?
Should anybody else expect the DOJ to kind of come after them like you've come over after some of your political
Well,
enemies?
you remember this time?
Yeah.
I was impeached twice, 2 fake impeachments, won both of them easily. Republicans stood by me 100%, but I won both of them. I was
Yeah,
indicted
he wasn't
87 different
shaky.
times. And then you ask me that question.
Yeah.
So I think I'm extremely moderate,
Why was
especially
the
for what they
census
did
black?
to me. They wanted to
I
take
don't
me
know,
down.
right?
I
Just
said to
making shit
somebody,
up
do me a
now.
favor, add up the counts. If I lost, you know, I won. But if I lost these cases, add up the counts and tell me how long would I have to serve in prison? You know what they came up with? 287 years.
Damn.
I said, I better win.
In your mind, that calculation
I better
means it's
win.
okay for the DOJ to go after your
it
political
isn't.
enemies?
No, it isn't. And I could be involved. You know, I'm the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. I could be involved, but I'm not. I don't choose to. But when they say to me, oh, you're going after people, I got indicted all of those times. It's 287 years in jail they were willing to put. You know, they asked me a question yesterday at the press conference about Clinton because of the testimony, the Epstein thing, which turned out that I have nothing to do, and they did, about Epstein. And they said, do you think it's terrible, what, you know, with the subpoenas and everything, and they're disobeying the subpoenas? And I actually said, it's a shame. You have an ex-president, and you have, you know, the president's wife and Secretary of State. And I said,
What
it's a
he's
shame.
saying
It is a
is,
shame.
I'm a
NBC News broke the
moron
story
who
today. I don't know if you
doesn't
saw
follow
that the Democrats
doctor
were already
orders.
saying, if you bring
Fact.
President Bill Clinton and he has to testify, we're bringing President Trump. What do you say to that?
I think they might say that, you know, but they've already brought me. See, I've been brought. They had me indicted
Maybe you should have stopped
many
committing
times.
crimes.
many, many times. They
He
didn't do
still
that.
hasn't
Do you think if
stopped.
the Democrats win in the midterms, at least one House of Congress, they're going to try to impeach you?
Well, you know, I've done a great job as president. They say I've had the best first year of any president
Said
in
no.
history, and I think I have.
NWO.
Look, I said
What
it
is
before.
NWO?
Biggest tax cuts ever. Right now, we have more under construction with the factories, the car plant. You know, they're all moving back into the country. They were stolen from us over a 40-year period. They're all coming back from Germany, from Canada, from Mexico, from Japan. I think I had the greatest first year that we've
But you think they may come after you again?
Well, they'll find something, like I did.
They're gonna find something.
Because I did the interview, let's impeach him or something.
Anything out there that Americans are going to be surprised about that
shouldn't
you're
do
going?
it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. They shouldn't do it. And that's one of the things. I didn't do it for that reason, but it bothers me that
What is
somebody's
all that
going after
ugly
Bill
gold
Clinton. See,
crap
I like Bill Clinton. I still
on
like Bill
What do you
everything?
like about him?
It looked like a
I
Russian
like-
bathroom.
Well, I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me. You know, he was the
Nobody
one
is
that
saying
said
he
very
has a
famously
good
that
first
you
year.
don't want to run against
The
Trump, where
minute
there were 18
Donnie
people.
is
It was 18 people, including me, total. And he kept telling them, you don't want to run against Trump. Run against anyone. Don't run against Trump. And
nobody
Hillary
is saying.
sort of laughed at him. He said, Hillary, you know it, and I know, don't run against Trump.
Yeah.
And they ran against Trump. It didn't work out too well, did it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank you for your time. Thank you.
I'm tapping in, I'm tapping in, I'm tapping. And like I said, man, I'm gonna turn up for y'all, man, because it's definitely going down. And we're gonna listen what Uncle Trump got to say, man, because you know he got a lot to say. Thank y'all for tuning in. Let's go.
Office after you were reelected. Right. What went through your mind? triumphant when you walk back?
Yeah, there's a feeling of triumph.
President Donald J. Trump on his 100th day in office. From the #1 issue, the economy.
People are worried, even some people who voted for you saying, I didn't sign up for this. So how do you answer those concerns?
Well, they did sign up for it, actually.
To immigration.
It is an undeniable fact that illegal crossings at the southern border have plummeted, a staggering decline. But there are questions about your methods.
He say he lied, Clinton,
Don't
because he
go
think Clinton
too
knows
far, too
things
fast,
about
too
him.
reckless.
And the concerns for many Americans
Oh, yeah.
about the impact of tariffs.
Everything's going to be just fine.
President
He can't
Trump,
shut
the
up
first
because he's
100
a-
days. The interview in the Oval Office with ABC News anchor and senior national correspondent Terry Moran.
Earlier today, I sat down with President Trump in the Oval Office for an exclusive interview on his 100th day of his second term. It was a great opportunity to ask him some wide-ranging questions about the issues that most concern so many Americans. We talked about the economy and his tariffs. We talked about immigration and those deportations. And you can see here the White House has put up some posters that they say show some of the violent criminals that have so far been deported. We talked about a lot more as well. The president's answers were provocative, at times combative, and always he was strong in his convictions about his policies. But before we get to the interview, we begin tonight with a look inside the Oval Office that Donald Trump has transformed.
Let's see.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Let's see how he transformed the White House.
Oval Office. This is the Resolute desk, which is really something very spectacular. There's nothing quite like it. And they give you a choice of about 7 different desks. But this is the one I chose. Ronald Reagan had it. FDR had it. A few people had it. But I found it to be the most beautiful.
It is amazing.
Any more
This is
messages?
an amazing
We need less
space
people per
and
but we
amazing,
certainly
maybe
don't need more dumb
architecturally
people.
wonderful, but amazing for what it represents. It represents the U.S. and if properly used, a lot of good things can happen.
I see Ronald Reagan over there.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan.
Right to your left.
Being in the Oval Office is
Poo-poo
very important.
pants.
See Ronald Reagan here and put him a little bit larger. It sort of seems to fit very nicely. You have Democrats a little bit. You have
Franklin
You
Roosevelt.
support
Franklin
poo-pants.
Roosevelt. So you look at that picture and people say, well, what's he doing up there? But look, he was a serious president, whether we like it or not. He was a 4-termer and went through a war. You have Lincoln, you have Washington, but you look over here, that's Monroe, the Monroe Doctrine.
Why is he up there?
I think the Monroe Doctrine was
He
pretty
said, why
important.
is he up there?
That was his claim to fame. Over here you have the original of Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, and of course you have the Declaration of Independence.
What does it mean to you?
Well, it means exactly what it says. It's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity and love and respect, and it means a lot, and it's something very special to our country.
Lincoln's portrait up there. I'm not familiar with that one, but I think when I'm looking at that famous line in the second inaugural, with malice toward none, with
Right,
charity toward
right.
all. Is that-
Well, he was a great president. He went through a lot.
And the Oval Office is always
I'm
changing
white
between
and snow,
presidents.
and my
Change.
best
Says
friend is
something.
black.
What does this say?
I can
about
believe
how you
that.
feel about the country and
I
the
can
office?
believe
Well, I
that.
think it says I love the country. I mean, I'm putting pictures of presidents up.
White
that
boys
have
cool
never been
too.
up.
White people
Pictures
cool
that
as shit.
were largely used, and in many cases, great men, in this case men, but great men of great achievement.
And your every detail, it seems.
Yeah.
This is your office.
I'm a very detailed person. I'm a very clean person. I like cleanliness.
You
I
know,
like to
it's
see
caused so much damage
the
to
space be
United
treated
States and the
properly.
world.
I've added a lot to the space in terms of
for the Constitution,
beautification.
remember the president and
in terms of
his
modernization.
entire
That's a
cabinet
gallery
for
of presidents.
It
crimes.
really is. It really is. So, and it's an honor to have you people with us.
Mr. President, thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much.
Here in the Oval Office, it's special. 100 days into your second term. So what's the one thing, just one thing, that you think is the most significant thing you've done so far in these 100 days?
Well, I think maybe the border is the most significant because our country was really going bad. They were allowing people to come in from prisons, as you know, and you've heard me say it, but you've heard a lot of people say it. Prisons, mental institutions, gang members,
Skynet is coming.
murderers.
Day is up on us.
Many murders, 11,888, they think. Some murdered more than one person. So you had murderers coming in, you had everybody coming in, and not just South America, from all over the world. They were emptying their prisons into our country. And now it's totally closed down. And you've seen just yesterday, they announced 99.9%. Nobody thought that could happen. And it happened quickly, very quickly. And I think that's very significant. But we're doing other things that are very significant. Results will take a little bit longer because it's one of those, you know, it's complicated. It's many years of trading abuse. We've been abused by other countries for years and years. They laughed at us. They thought we were stupid people, and we're fixing it. And I think that's going to be very, very important. But
we have a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, I would really say that the border is so important. You know, just
and we'll get there. Immigration is huge,
yeah.
And we're going to get
there.
But
What's up, man?
Sure.
With the
Welcome
economy,
to the show, bro.
#1
Welcome to the show.
For just about everybody. It's one of the main reasons that you're back in this office, and now we have.
Welcome to the show, Tom Davis.
China
Welcome to the show.
That Moody's and other analysts say is going to cost American families thousands of more dollars per year, and there is a lot of concern out there. People are worried. Even some people who voted for you saying, "I didn't sign up for this." So, how do you answer those concerns?
That's a good question.
I did sign up for it, actually, and this is what I campaigned on. I said that we've been abused by other countries at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We were losing $3 to $5 billion a day on trade. We were losing $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion a year. Not sustainable. They were taking advantage of us like they've never. I could have left it that way, and at some point there would have been an implosion like nobody's ever seen. But I said, no, we have to fix it. I've wanted to do this for many years. You know, I had the best economy during my first term. We had a tremendous economy, tremendous success. And we did tremendous numbers of tariffs on, we took in a lot of money from tariffs, China in particular, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. We had no inflation, as you know. We had an incredible economy. We're given credit for a great economy. But I said, we have to fix this, otherwise it's just not self-sustaining.
Well, one of the things you ran on was you'd said you'd bring prices down on day one, and that it would happen fast, and that it would happen fast. And most economists will tell you that tariffs will raise prices. So don't your tariffs cut against that promise you made to bring prices down?
No, because I had massive tariffs on China, if you remember, in my first term, and we had essentially no inflation, like around 1% inflation, which is like a perfect number. And then when Biden took over, it went through the roof. It went to probably the worst inflation we've ever had. I mean, we had an inflation nightmare. Now, if you look at what's happening now, we're only
real eyes, real
100
lies,
days,
real
as
lies.
you say. And in 100 days, we took over. We had bad inflation for 4 years, for 2 years of, especially 2 years of his administration. I would say record-setting like we've never seen. They say 48 years, the worst in 48 years. I say it was much worse than that. Yeah. Right. So now if you look at what's happened, energy is down. Gasoline hit $1.98.
Hell no, gasoline has a mug.
The last couple of days. It was $3.50 and $4 and $4.50. But gasoline is way down. When I took over, you remember the big thing with eggs. They hit me the first week. Eggs, like it was my fault. I said, I didn't cause this problem. This problem was caused by Biden.
Like it was
What's
my
the problem
fault
with eggs? And they said, they've doubled. And well, eggs are down 87% since I got involved.
A lot of that is
and by the way, and there were plenty of eggs for Easter, which we just went through. There were plenty of eggs for Easter. They were saying you won't have enough eggs for Easter. My secretary did a fantastic job on eggs. Groceries are down. Everything's down. Interest rates are the same. Interest rates should be down. But we have a Federal Reserve that wants to be stubborn. They want to be cute.
We'll get to that.
World peace at one point.
You said something a couple of weeks ago that struck me. You said concerning the tariffs, which economists say are going to raise prices. You said, quote, hang tough. it won't be easy. You said that to American people. Is that what Americans should expect, some hard times?
I've said
because
that
of
during
these
my
tariffs?
campaign. Look, we won a campaign by a lot. We won all 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by a lot. You know, we had a tremendous campaign. I said all of these things during my campaign. I said, you're going to have a transition period. We've been ripped off by every country all over the world. They're laughing at us. They thought we were
Welcome to the
stupid
show,
because we
Elwood.
were.
Welcome to the show.
And I said, that's not going to happen. We're
But
not going to
hard
let that
times?
happen.
Hard times are ahead?
I don't think so. I
Hang
think
tough.
great times are ahead. Look, since I came in, gasoline is down, groceries are down, egg prices are down, many things are down, just about everything. You know, you don't have the drop in fuel and energy and oil like we did. I took it from maybe $3.20, maybe more than that, down into a much lower number. When you have that kind of a drop, you're not going to have inflation.
Not now, but it's the tariffs, right? We still have 145% tariffs on China.
why is it-
Your Treasury Secretary said we basically have an embargo on China.
Look, you're
and
trying
that-
to say something's going to happen,
no,
Terry.
No, okay.
This
well,
is
let me
so
say,
out of
you know
control.
business.
Yes.
I do know business.
Yes,
and
so 145% tariffs on China, and that is
That's good.
basically
That's
an
good.
Gasoline
embargo.
is down.
deserve
What
it.
It'll raise
planet
prices
is
on
he
everything,
on? Right.
electronics,
Gasoline
to
has a
clothing,
mug.
to building houses.
You don't know that. You don't know whether or not China's going
That's
to eat it.
mathematics.
China probably will eat those tariffs, but at
We need a
145, they
chill pill
basically
on
can't do
this.
much business with the United States. And they were making from us $1 trillion a year. They were ripping us off like nobody's ever ripped us off. And by the way, we have other countries that were just as bad. If you look at the European Union, it was terrible what they've done to us. Every country, almost every country in the world was ripping us off. They're not doing that
I
anymore.
want you to think about the boom that this country has had in small businesses.
The
Mom
boom.
and pop Etsy stores, small businesses that
Really?
became
They
big
haven't
businesses.
had a boom because of inflation.
Well,
the
no,
boom,
what
the
they've
boom
done-
was inflationary boom. The people were
We all
wiped
need
out
a
with
old
inflation. I
work
mean, you
together.
read the news, you
Yes.
do the business
now
stuff,
they
I
face,
assume.
Now, a lot of them built those businesses on the trading model.
Yeah, and they're gonna
before
make
you.
more money
They
now.
sourced their products overseas, and now they're looking at an extinction
I've been
event.
here.
It's a disaster for them.
I've been here for 3 months. I've taken a trade deficit down to a number that's very, very starting to get really good. I just got here. We had a country that it was not sustainable. What Biden did to this country between the open borders where criminals poured into our country, between every country in the world ripping us off on trade, it was not sustainable.
So your message to those small businesses who are saying, we can't live a month, 2 months with these tariffs. Apple got a big deal. Is there something for them?
No, not only Apple. We've got $7 to $8 trillion being invested in our country in 2 months. Biden didn't have that over a year. I mean, if you look at
Biden ain't had that
nobody
over a
was
year.
really investing in this
The most
country.
horrible
Everybody was
president
ripping
I
off our
ever
country.
seen in my
Apple's putting up
entire
$500 billion,
lifetime,
but that's
and
only
I'm
one of
in
many
my
companies.
60s.
Companies
Wow,
are flooding
that's
into
crazy.
our country right now.
So your answer to the concern about the tariffs is everything's going to be hunky-dory.
Everything's going to be just fine. It wouldn't have been if I didn't do this. I had a choice. I could leave it, have a nice, easy time, but I think ultimately you would have had an implosion. Our country had inflation that was worse than they've ever had it before. You don't mention that. Why don't you mention that? We had the worst
Why
inflation
did they
probably in the
try
history of
and
our
say,
country.
"Mr. President,
People say 48
they-
years. Probably in the history of our country, we had the worst inflation. And people were dying over the inflation. You know that. Now
Well,
the
you know
grocery
that.
prices are coming down, the energy prices are coming down, gasoline's coming down. It's all heading in the right direction.
Okay, let's move on to immigration.
Okay.
Coming up,
It is an undeniable fact that illegal crossings at the southern border have plummeted, a staggering decline. But there are questions about your methods.
President Trump, the first 100 days continues.
Okay, let's move on to immigration. And as you said, it is an undeniable fact that illegal crossings at the southern border have plummeted, a staggering decline. But there are questions about your methods.
He
And
is
so I'll
killing
ask
the
about
USA,
methods,
yes.
About your methods, how you're
They
accomplishing
seem to
this.
work.
Do you acknowledge that under our law, every single person who gets deported gets a hearing first to make their case?
Well, are we talking about people that are citizens of our country or not?
No, you're not deporting citizens at this point.
Well, let me ask you, did they get hearings when Biden allowed 21 million, because I think the number's 20 million people to flow into our country? You had 21 million people that came into our country through a stupid open border, and they were prisoners, and they were people that you don't want in many cases in our country, right? They came from all over the world. They came from the Congo. They came from South. They came from all over the world. We're talking about some of the roughest countries in the world they had here, including terrorists, by the way. Now,
but
did we give them a hearing when they came in?
Well, the law requires that every single person who is going to be deported gets a hearing first.
Well,
you acknowledge that?
I'll have to ask the lawyers about that. All I can say is this. If you're going to have 21 million people, and if we have to get a lot of them out because they're criminals, we're going to have to act fast. We can't. Do you think we can give 21 million trials?
Excuse
Let's say
me.
each trial takes 2 weeks. Is that what you want us to
This
do?
man
21
should
million?
be fact checked. You
The
can't
lawyers
believe
have said
anything he
about
says.
trials.
No, not trials, hearings. I said
These
hearings.
people came in, they're not citizens. They came
Did he
in
give up the
illegally.
people who
They came
worked
into
on
our
the golf
country
course?
illegally. We
Hell
have to get
nah.
them out.
There's a legal process for
I
that.
Hell
can't
no, he ain't gonna
we
get
follow
them
the
up.
legal process. I can't have a trial, a major trial
not
for
saying
every
major.
person that came in illegally. We have thousands of murderers that came in. They're going to murder people. They already have murdered people in our country.
Right, so
we have to get them out,
They're
and we have to
bad
get them
guys,
out fast.
really bad guys. But in our country, even bad guys get due process, right?
If people come into our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal. They came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the Venezuelans.
Whatever
Okay.
the lawyers say.
Right. All right, let's talk about the Venezuelans. You deported more than 200 Venezuelans to that prison in El Salvador. You see, they're violent, they're gang members, they're terrorists. Many of them don't have a criminal
They are,
record
by the way.
at all.
Well,
but I want to.
I'm not so sure about that if you take a look.
I want to
When
read you something.
Excuse me.
about-
When you look at those people, they were violent people. They were violent people.
But many of them don't have a criminal record
Go
at this
ahead.
point.
I don't know.
want
That's
to
what
read you
you say.
something. Well, it's based
Go
on
ahead.
their lawyer, what their lawyers
Go
have
ahead.
said. Okay.
Go ahead.
Go
Joe
ahead.
Rogan said this. Joe Rogan, one of the leading podcasters, Trump supporter, about the deportation of Venezuelans. He said, quote, rounding up gang members and shipping them to El Salvador with no due process, he said it was dangerous, and added, quote, we got to be careful that we don't become monsters while we're fighting monsters. Is Joe Rogan right?
Oh, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, we want to be careful, and we are careful. We're doing something that has to be done. We have a country that's very sick. Joe Biden, and it's not him because I don't even think he knew what the hell was happening, but the people around him are vicious people, and what they've done to the country is unbelievable. They've allowed 21 million people to pour into our country. Many of these people are criminals. They've allowed you mentioned Venezuela, the jails of Venezuela to be emptied into the United States. Do you know Venezuela crime is way down? Way, way down. You know why? Because their criminals are now living happily in the United States of America, and we're getting them out. And I was elected to get them out, and we're getting them
Under
out.
the law. It
And
sounds
we're
like-
getting them out fast, and we're getting them out legally.
Under the law.
Now, in some cases, we have judges. In some cases, they're radical left judges. What happened the other day where a judge was protecting a criminal was horrible.
If
And
you
I think
black
she's
and vote
got big
Democrat,
problems,
you
frankly.
sit in
Wanna
the
talk
There are a
about
couple
same
of them like that.
I wanna talk about
plantation
one way
as
Yeah,
mama
we have to
and
be
pop
treated fairly
and
by
their
judges,
parents.
and we're not being treated fairly by all judges.
Oh, that's a subject. So you're saying that you don't like some of the rulings, some of the
Well,
court orders?
I think the rulings will be overturned,
All
yeah.
right, well, let me ask you about one man and one court order. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's the Salvadoran man who crossed into this country illegally, but who is under a protective order
Smart president
that he not
we
be
ever
sent back
had.
to El Salvador. Your government sent him back to El Salvador and acknowledged in
Because
court that
Trump
was a
think
mistake.
before he
Now
talk.
the
That's
Supreme
why
Court
I'm telling
has
you.
upheld
He
that
don't just
order
talk. He
that you
think
must
before he talk.
return him to facilitate his return to the United States. What are you doing to comply?
Well, the lawyer that said it was a mistake was here a long time, was not appointed by us, should not have said that, and just so
Said it
you
in court.
understand,
Said
the
it in
person
court.
that you're talking about, you're making this person sound, this is a MS-13 gang member, a tough cookie, been in lots of skirmishes.
A tough
beat the
cookie.
hell out of his wife, and the wife was petrified to even talk about him, okay? This is not an innocent, wonderful gentleman from Maryland.
I'm not saying
He's
he's a good
not
guy.
fair.
It's about the rule of law. The
The
order
rip.
from the Supreme Court
You
stands,
came
sir.
into our country illegally.
You could get him back. There's a phone on this desk.
I could.
You could pick it up.
I
with
say
all the
it.
power of
Yes,
the
I
presidency.
mean
You could
it.
call up the president of El Salvador and say, send him back right now.
And if he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that.
But the court has
he's
ordered
not.
you to facilitate that. his
I'm
release.
not the one making this decision. We have
You're
lawyers
the
that don't
president.
want to do this.
But
Terry.
the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he
Supreme
is.
Court says what the law is.
Listen, I was elected to take care of a problem.
Democrats need
that
the
was-
black
it was
votes.
a-
Black Americans
a
need the
unforced
Democrat
error
dollar.
that was made by
You
a
know
very
it.
incompetent man, a man that turned out to be
Trump
incompetent. that
shouldn't
you always said was
complain.
wonderful, great
He's
genius,
not
right?
in jail,
and now you
and
find
he
out
should be.
all of the media now they're saying
Fact.
what a mistake they made. A man who was grossly incompetent allowed us to have open borders where millions of people flowed in. I campaigned on that issue. I wouldn't say it was my number one issue, but it was pretty close.
Right up there.
I campaigned on that issue. I've done an amazing job. I have closed borders. He said you couldn't do it. You wouldn't be able to do it. It would never happen. Well, it happened, and it happened very quickly. Wait a minute. When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it.
By law.
And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
On his knuckle, huh?
He had MS-13 on his knuckles
didn't say-
tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Hey, Terry.
He did not
Don't
have the
do that.
letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshop. So let me
That
just...
was Photoshop, Terry. You can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. picked
I
you,
never heard of
Terry.
you.
Hey, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree.
He said you're not being real nice.
Do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll
And you think it
agree
was
to disagree.
Photoshop? Well,
Here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He
Fair
had
enough.
MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine,
No,
sir.
Terry,
I want to get to
Terry,
Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe
is in
the news, because
When
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in
More than
in
he ever
El
heard.
Salvador, they
Yeah.
aren't there. But let's just go on.
He
They aren't
is
there when he's in El
there.
Salvador.
They
Take
weren't
a look
there,
at the
but they're
photograph.
there now, right?
No,
But they're there
in
now.
your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
he's got MS-13 on
What
his
is
knuckles.
this, 60 Minutes? Nah,
Okay.
this ain't
It's
60 Minutes.
just
We'll take
such
a
This
a
is an interview that
disservice.
Trump
Take a
did.
look at
Why
that,
don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something
It's
else.
contested. Ukraine.
Coming up, the Russia-Ukraine war
Don't
You
forget,
think he wants
this
peace?
is a
You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
and that historic meeting. President Trump, the first 100 days continues.
I want to turn, I was just in Rome, and to that moving photograph of you and President Zelensky sitting in St. Peter's Basilica talking peace. It went around the world.
Sure.
Take us into that moment.
Well, look, the Ukraine is a very serious, very tough situation. And this is Biden's war. This is not my war, but I want to see if I can solve it because probably close to 5,000 young soldiers
34 times
are
a
being
picture.
killed, Russian and
Felony
Ukrainian.
to not be a president
We also
at
spend a
all.
tremendous amount of money in Ukraine, and Europe should be spending much more than us. They're not. They're spending much less. It's been badly handled by the Biden administration. It's been badly handled all the way around, the way around.
That moment.
The moment was a moment of solace, in a sense, because tremendous numbers of people are dying. A lot of his people are dying. They're being killed. And I feel very badly about it. I feel very badly about it. That's a war that would have never happened if I were president. And it didn't happen for 4 years. It was never even a thought of it happening.
It does feel like something's happening after that meeting with Zelensky in St. Peter's. You posted this on social media. There was no reason for Putin to be shooting missiles into civilian areas and cities and towns over the last few days, it makes me think that maybe...
Well, that was part of my post, but you're right. That was a part of a post.
And it says, it makes me think that maybe he doesn't want to stop the war. He's just tapping me along.
Yeah, that's possible. Sure.
He might
Yeah, that's possible.
Tapping me along a little bit. I would say that he would like to stop the war. I think that if it weren't for me, I think he'd want to take over the whole country, personally. I always felt. So when I left, there wasn't even a chance that this would happen. When Biden got involved, I won't say whether or not he handled it properly, but obviously it wasn't good because the war started. Putin went in, the war started. I believe that Putin wanted to get all of Ukraine once he went in. And I think part of the reason he went in, he saw what happened in Afghanistan, how incompetently Milley and all these guys handled that. It was one of the greatest embarrassments of our lifetimes, but maybe in the history of our country. Okay. So Putin went in. I think Putin wanted all of Ukraine. Right. I think if I didn't win the election, he would have gotten all of Ukraine. I think he would have taken all of Ukraine. I think his first choice, never with me, he would have never gone in. With this group of losers, he went in, he saw what happened in Afghanistan. He said, wow, this is my chance. Because it was always the apple of his eye. I talked to him. Ukraine was the apple of his eye. I think he wanted the whole country.
You've said for months.
And because of me, I do believe that he's willing to stop the fighting. Don't forget,
think he wants
this
peace.
is a...
You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does. I think
Still.
he does. I think because
even with the raining missiles
I think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview. And then you start hitting me with fake questions. You start telling me that a guy whose hand is covered with a tattoo doesn't have the tattoo, you know. I mean, you're being dishonest.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. Do I trust? I don't trust a lot of people.
I don't trust a lot of people.
I think that let's say he respects me. And I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole. But his decision, his choice would be to take over all of Ukraine. Okay. It's a war that never should have happened. It did happen because of incompetent people.
Last question on this.
But it never should have happened.
If there's no peace deal, will the U.S. cut off military aid to Ukraine?
I don't want to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you whether or not I would or not. I want to leave that as a big fat secret because I don't want to ruin a negotiation. But
I'd be worried.
I will tell you, I was not happy when I saw Putin shooting missiles into a few towns and cities, and that was not something that I like seeing, and I thought it was inappropriate. But I think the whole war is inappropriate. Again, it's a war that shouldn't have happened. This is a war that if the election weren't rigged, and it was totally rigged, the 2020 election, if it weren't rigged, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have had the embarrassment of Afghanistan. You wouldn't have October 7th with Israel. You wouldn't have had any of the problems that you have right now.
I want to ask one question.
Any of the problems.
All right. I want to ask one question about
Trump is a great president. No, he's not.
There's a lot of turmoil at the Pentagon right now. There's the signal chat with his wife on it where he's discussing that attack in Yemen. There's another signal chat discussing the attack on Yemen. There's a reporter accidentally involved. You said the other day that you had a talk with the secretary. Did you take him to the woodshed?
I had a talk with him, and whatever I said, I probably wouldn't be inclined to tell you. But we had a good talk. He's a talented guy. He's young, he's smart, highly educated, and I think he's going to be a very good hopefully a great defense secretary, but he'll be a very good defense secretary.
You have 100% confidence in
I don't have 100% confidence in anything. Okay, anything. Do I have 100%? It's a stupid question. Look,
it's a stupid question.
I have no. You don't have 100%. Only a liar would say I have 100% confidence. I don't have 100% confidence that we're going to finish this interview.
We will.
Let's go.
Coming up, President Trump on Elon Musk and Doge.
Did Doge go too far, too fast, too reckless?
President Trump, the first 100 days, continues.
Elon Musk and Doge. Everyone knows that there's wasteful government spending. It's really important. The cuts have had some serious consequences. There have been cuts to foreign aid programs that save lives and keep people alive overseas. There's been research at the National Institutes of Health on cancer, on Alzheimer's, that has had to be stopped. And the question I think people have is, did DOGE go too far, too fast, too reckless?
No, I think DOGE has been, look, saved $150 billion. We saved, that's a lot of money. There's also a lot of things right now under investigation, which is going to increase that amount by a lot. That's a tremendous amount of money. There were some things where, when I heard about this, I put them back,
shouldn't have happened.
There are things that I'm considering
at
right
all
now putting back, but overall we've saved hundreds of billions of dollars.
Well, the original promise was $2 trillion
yes,
to $1
he
trillion,
is.
now to
He has the ball to do what he is doing, and Bennett was a weak president who let everyone walk over him.
We also found tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse, as you know. We found a lot of fraud. There was a lot of fraud. Fraudulent things were taking place, and we ended that, and those people are going to be suffering because of it.
A legal note, fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department on any.
Well, you don't know that,
when,
do you?
When Obama
How do you know
750 million.
Have there been referrals?
How would you know that there were no referrals? I think there were referrals.
They generally, all right, there's been
That
no
was a very smart man.
from the
The hood know nothing
I'm
about
asking you,
smartness.
No, you're not asking me. You made a statement. You're not
Now
asking
I'm
me.
asking you.
That was a statement that you made. There have
Now I'm
been.
asking you.
Have there been? Yes, there have.
So there have been referrals for fraud from the
Of
work
course
of
there have
DOGE.
been. Take a look at some of these
All right,
things that
all
took
right,
place.
all right.
Billions of dollars were given to people for no reason whatsoever. Of
Okay.
course there have
I
been.
want to bring up what is truly one of, to a lot of people, one of the biggest achievements of your first term. That is Operation Warp Speed. You got that COVID vaccine up and
right.
going and distributed, and a lot of people took it, and a lot of people feel their lives have been saved by it. Now we have this measles outbreak, biggest in a decade in Texas, and it's because people aren't getting their children vaccinated. Do you recommend to parents that they get their children vaccinated for measles?
Well, I recommend the governors to make the decisions. You have a very talented governor of Texas, and he's making decisions, and those decisions are going to be made rapidly. This is a very much different thing than COVID in terms of rapidity and speed and other things. Measles have been with us a long time, and I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying that the governors are making the decision. It's a federalist decision.
The president is our leader in so many ways, and your voice counts so much, and you can't tell moms and dads it's a good thing to get a measles vaccine.
Do I recommend it?
Yes.
Yes, I do. I
Okay.
recommend it, yeah.
Got it. That
Do
was
I
my
mandate
question.
it? No.
No, I didn't
But
ask
I
you.
do recommend it, yes.
Good. Do you think
And I have recommended it.
Do you think the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has a history of, at the very least, vaccine skepticism, do you think Kennedy recommends the measles vaccine?
He did. He recommended it. Yeah, he did.
You satisfied with his
Yeah, I mean, he
response on this?
recommended that they go out and get the vaccine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still ahead.
I'm asking the justification for
I
going
live in
after people you
Texas
don't
and I
like.
didn't see the outbreak.
Imagine being able to build an app with your
That's a
name
good
on it
thing.
just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want and watch it take shape.
President Trump, the first 100 days continues.
I want to talk a little bit about presidential power, the powers that you have in the presidency temporarily that the American people have given you, right? You've revoked a lot of people's security clearances. You've revoked people's security details who are still threatened, with death threats. You've gone after law firms because they've employed people you don't like, or they have represented people
Well,
you
they
don't
obviously
like.
agreed because they paid me a lot of money.
Well, the reason they agreed is because you were threatening to destroy their business with your executive order that said you can't represent clients for the federal government. That's their bread and butter.
Boys. These are the biggest, most powerful lawyers. These are not people
You got a lot of
that
leverage
are
as
easily
president.
intimidated.
As president, you've got all the cards.
They paid hundreds of millions of dollars because they felt, I guess, they probably felt they did something wrong.
It was for survival, sir.
No, it isn't.
You're
No,
crushing their business.
These firms are very powerful firms, and there's 15 of them. And these are firms that probably, look, you have to ask them. In fact, this is a separate story. You have to ask them, why did you all pay Trump hundreds of millions of dollars in services, etc.? Why did you do that? I don't know.
You don't think that
we have a clause in the thing that while we admit no wrongdoing, but you know, it's like one of those things. And now I'm friendly with those firms, but it's, you know, these are the most powerful firms in the world. And they just signed whatever I put in front of them. I've never seen anything like it. I'm actually surprised myself in a certain way. But they obviously felt they probably did something wrong. I guess that's why they signed.
I guess the question out of that is the concern that people have. Are you using your powers as president to get personal revenge?
No, I'll tell you what you're really not asking, and you should be asking. There has never been a president in this country, in the history, that was persecuted like I was persecuted by really crooked people, dishonest, horrible people, and it's been proven. So when you say I'm treating people rough, I'm not treating people rough. I was treated worse than any president in the history of our country. And, you know, people figured, well, maybe that's it. Finally, we got, you know, he's leaving town. There goes the helicopter. And then I came back. And I came back because I have tremendous support. You know, when you win an election like I won it, and you will admit I won all 7 swing states, I won the popular vote, I won 2,750 districts compared to 500 districts. That's why the map is all red. And those people feel that I was treated unfairly.
But does that give you the right to go after your political
opponents? What's up with you?
I'm going
How you doing?
All I'm doing, hey, Biden did something to me, and I did something to Biden. And you know why I did it? Because he's grossly incompetent. That's not a man that should be allowed to, you know, be looking at things that are very confidential.
But what about,
because he didn't,
71
here's a
people
man that used an auto pen to sign very important documents.
Most,
now, who really
most definitely any
do
president
you think he
that
knew
see the IRS for the
using
release of his tax information.
I mean, he used an auto pen to sign very, very important documents.
He never did.
So those are really the questions you should be asking. What do you think of the auto pen? Who wielded the auto pen? Because whoever that person was, think of it, whoever the person that wielded the auto pen, he was really the president of the United States. Because I don't think that Biden knew anything about it.
Fair enough. But you are the president now, and I'm asking the justification for going after people you don't like.
No. People that I think are dishonest. It's not that I don't even know most of them. They're people that I think are dishonest.
These people made you angry.
No, it's not anger. These are people that I think are very dishonest. I don't think they're worthy of being able to go into top secret information. I think that's fine. And Biden did that with many of our people. But when you look at it, these are people that I don't think are worthy. That's my decision. It's not a question of anger.
Okay. I understand you just had a phone call with a new Canadian premier, and they just had this election.
Yeah.
You were a big issue with it, and Canadians, many of them, are really angry, furious about your talk about we're going to take over Canada's going to become the 51st state. And it kind of is of a piece. A lot of travel is down into the United States from around the world.
Auto pen, yes.
Reputational damage.
The country's doing great.
Well,
prices are down,
not the tourism.
Gasoline's down, energy's down, tourism is going to be way up. Wait till you see the numbers. The tourism is way up.
Not now.
Now Canada, tourism's doing very well. We're doing very well. We're doing very well. Wait till you see the real numbers come out in 6 months from now. Wait till you see the numbers.
But do you think, I'm going to ask you, if I may, do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down?
When Trump tells you that.
No, I think it's gone way up. I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across the
I got something for y'all.
We had a president
You want to keep talking about him, huh?
I knew it.
I got something for y'all. Oh, it's lit tonight.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you for the opinion, but more importantly, thank you for having us here. I have one more question. It's a big one. It's a question that you know a lot of people have out there. What do you say to people who are concerned you are seizing too much power and becoming an authoritarian president like we haven't had before?
No, I would hate them to think that. I'm doing one thing. I'm making America great again. We have a country
I'm making America great again.
We have a country that was laughed at all over the world. We had a leader that was grossly incompetent. He should have never been there. The election was rigged. He should have never been there. Our country suffered greatly, and now our country's coming back like nobody can believe. I have editorials just today where they're saying they've never seen anything like it. They love it. Our country's coming back, and we're respected again.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, Terry, very much.
Man, y'all already know, man. Hard to turn it all the way up for y'all, man. Thank y'all for tapping into Your Cuz podcast, man. We definitely lit today. Y'all already know. Tune in. But I got a throwback for y'all. For the man that he always keep talking about, talking real crazy about him and everything. Calling him old, calling him he can't walk, he can't do this, he can't do that. Let's hear the debate of how they really hate each other. And y'all about to hear it on the Your Cuz podcast. Let's go.
But prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president and what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out in a position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But there's more to be done.
Old though, Mo.
More to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem. The price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price of around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess.
Years back
he created mandates that was a disaster for our country.
It's a throwback, bro.
Other than that, we had given them a country.
This is why he hate him so much.
Actually, was higher than pre-COVID.
Listen to what he's talking about.
Was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce
how they go
jobs,
back and forth, bro.
COVID. He has not done.
This is why Trump talk about him so much.
Inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, you know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where we had a notion that
we can't go back. This is ridiculous.
I'm the only president.
It's your president now, Lamar.
This decade, there done any troops dying anywhere in the
You
world
him?
like he did.
President Trump, I
He
want
said
to
he
follow up
ain't
if I
do
can.
nothing when he was in office.
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been.
They about to fuss and everything. Watch this, y'all.
I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country.
Hell no.
We spurred that tax spirit.
People died when it was COVID,
we cut
man.
the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet.
This is why he don't like him, though.
To have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it.
Disaster,
the vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done. We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country. And I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration
later
in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers. They've raised $500 million, billion dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period.
Y'all
We'd
people
be able to wipe
died
out his
during
debt. We'd be able
COVID,
to help
but we
make sure that all
will
those things we
pay
need to do,
less taxes.
child care,
Yes.
elder
Ain't
care,
that crazy
making sure that
though?
we continue to
See,
strengthen our
this is
healthcare
shit they
system,
don't show on
making
the
sure that
other
we're going to make
podcasts. I'm
every
gonna show
single
it on my
solitary
podcast. You hear
person
me? Because it makes
eligible
sense.
for what
We
I
gotta
call
go back to the source.
with
Why he hate this man so much?
dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on
Hey,
Medicare.
bruh,
They're putting
he
them
said,
on
yeah, he
Social Security.
destroyed
They're going
him
to
to
destroy
death.
Social Security. This man is going
I'm
to
dead.
single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us.
Compared
We
to
give
Ben
them
and
everything
Trump,
they
don't
want,
care.
and they think
Get
we're
help
stupid.
now,
They think we're very
yes.
stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Absolutely
This is the first
criminal.
presidential election
How
since
many
the Supreme
presidents pay
Court
the American
overturned Roe v.
people and
Wade.
send a check?
This morning, the
Just
court
one?
ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v.
He
Wade
didn't get
and
my
moving
fiance.
it back to the states. This is
They
something
check
that
every
everybody
month
wanted.
of December.
Now, 10 years ago or so,
Why
they started
not?
talking about how many weeks and how many this, getting into other
Inspect
things.
that
But every legal
on
scholar
Utah thing. I'm
throughout the
dead.
world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states
I
are
did
working
that.
it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now.
Oh,
And right
he's
now,
saying
the states
he
control it.
is
That's
looking
the
in the
vote of the
mirror
people.
back at
Like
himself.
Ronald Reagan,
He
I
is
believe
doing
in
all
the
of it.
exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby.
That's crazy.
What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing. What you're doing. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they were all against it. It's just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states, let each state have a different rule. look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. And the idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered
Thumbs
by the
down
same
to
people
the
he
orange
allows to come
clown,
across our
the
border.
tiny-
We have a border that's the most dangerous
Who will be
place
paying?
anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a
That's
very
how
liberal
they
decision.
made
In many
peace
cases,
with
it's the
them.
opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted it brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters.
Hey, woman,
First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time
Tell
is
me
between the
your
doctor
shit.
and
Wow.
an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about a woman's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade is
Welcome
not
to the
about
show,
true.
Vic. Welcome to
That's
the
not
show.
The circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do?
What's he going to do?
If the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board, at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn on the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police now, a significantly increased number of asylum.
This is why Trump don't like him, Mo.
The Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure their families were separated.
No, he didn't.
That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. and I'm going to continue to move until we get the
Nicole,
total
what's up? Welcome to the show. Welcome back.
the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the
Trump
safest
say he don't
border in
know
the
what
history
he's
of our
saying,
country.
Mo. That's crazy.
All he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it.
He
decided
opening
to
it
open
up.
up our
Oh, yeah.
border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere, all over the world.
Trump said, I don't know what he was talking about.
Just left it
Mo.
open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything
Not
like
the
it.
worst
And
border
people
in
are
history.
dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, and his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, killed three American
Just look
soldiers.
at the look up
Killed
at
three
his
American
face.
soldiers.
He
That's the
said,
only
"Oh,
terrorist
yes,
that's
it
I'm
said,
not saying no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to
Greetings,
support
I
what he
vote
said.
for President
Once
Trump
again,
3
he's
times.
exaggerating, he's
Inmate
lying.
road. I
President
don't
Trump,
regret it
staying
by
on the
any
topic
minute.
of
Okay.
immigration, you've said that you're going to carry
That's
out,
what's
quote, the
up
largest
then.
domestic
Been
deportation
praying, check
operation in
out.
American
You can
history,
see
unquote.
it.
Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed three people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the two greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying, and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a
Watch
rat's
him
nest.
though.
They're
Listen to
killing
what
our
he's
people
saying though,
in New
y'all.
York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore.
Poor
Every state
Democrats.
is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very
But
stupid
hey,
policies,
look.
people are coming
Hold
in
on,
and
hold
they're
on, hold
killing
on.
our
This our
citizens
presidents
at a
though.
level that we've never seen.
These
We call
our
it
presidents
migrant
that's
crime.
fussing right
I call
now.
it Biden
I didn't
migrant
smash
crime.
the like
They're
button
killing our
automatic.
citizens at a level
Mr.
that we've
Jackson,
never
welcome to
seen
the
before.
show,
And
bro.
you're reading it like these three incredible young girls over the
Trump
last
is
few
it.
days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and they just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old.
Your president
This is
crazy.
horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country.
29, 22.
We're
Your
literally
president crazy,
an
bro.
uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened
Mike,
the
welcome to
borders
the
nobody's
show,
ever
man.
seen
It's
anything like.
there,
And we have to get a lot of these
mouth
people out,
open
and we have
and
to
his
get them out
eyes
fast
fixed
because they're
with
going to
their
destroy
mess.
our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody but worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA.
You better get
He is
him.
the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
all of these people to come in.
Uh-oh.
And it's a
President Biden.
very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For
He's
example,
right.
veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families
That's
have it
before
because what
it
happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And he
If
opposes.
hers would
the
have
group
won, it
opposed
would
it.
have
We're
been
also in a
8 straight
situation where
years of
we have
open
great
border.
respect for veterans. My
Yes,
son
you
spent a year
already
in Iraq,
know.
living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in
But that's
France
the
for
Democrat way
D-Day,
America
and
is.
I spoke all about those
Right.
heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have.
In his ear.
To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up. Just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking, it's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation.
His son,
he made
Hunter.
up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general stands aside was on our staff.
I see that.
Period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right. Thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its third year.
He looked like he's
Former President
ready
Trump,
to cry.
Russian
Yes.
President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable?
Yeah, it is live.
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him.
That's crazy.
That we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, a president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals.
I watched the show earlier, so you know how to show y'all.
But he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you have no terror at all.
Because how they argue at this debate is crazy.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president. They attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, This guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done.
Give him tissues, please. Yes.
He lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I
as
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is,
Trump said, I never
Putin's
said that.
terms acceptable to you? Keeping the territory in Ukraine?
No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever.
$60 billion.
I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, we shouldn't be spending. It should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people.
Anyone and everyone under the plane.
He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there?
Yes.
You think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine?
Don't even know, Mike, for real.
Belarus. What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States.
Spend that on the homeless.
Not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced
Welcome
as
to the
much
show, Albert.
funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7, Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire.
Trump know how to get under people's skin too, though. Y'all know that. He's good at that.
The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one, they're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so there are 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way,
did bin Laden.
Greatly weakened Hamas. Greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for what among population centers.
Hey, go Trump.
Just going back to Ukraine.
Trump about to get 2 minutes.
We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us, Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one. And you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian. But they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I make great trade deals with the European nations.
Both of them nervous, though.
Because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, no. They don't want anything that we have.
Trump is more open.
Their everything, their agriculture.
Benedict,
I changed that.
He looked tired.
But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia? At a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy.
My man said we paying everybody's bills.
I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6 and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great order. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world.
What you like about Trump
then? All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and
patriotically. Good for you there.
And Nancy Pelosi, who just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say. But she's saying, oh, no.
I bet you ain't got a Trump hat.
I was responsible for this.
Buy a Trump hat.
I offered her 10,000 soldiers.
I got a Trump hat.
And she turned them down. And the mayor of, in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down. The mayor
Trump is a bald man.
They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there.
And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever.
It's
And
funny
I
to
offered it to her,
see
and she
your
now
brother with
admits that she
CDF.
turned it down.
I'm
And it was
dead.
the same day she was, I don't know, he can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up to Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in that dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. He went to every single court in the nation.
Look at Trump's face, Mo. Look at Trump's face.
Cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said no.
Hey, bro. Welcome to the show, Wilson. Welcome to the show.
That was done.
Winston,
do a damn
welcome
thing,
to the show.
And these people should be in jail.
Winston,
And
welcome to the
should
show,
be
man.
Being held
You just catching a good
He
show,
wants to let them all
too.
out. And now
This
he
shit
says
is
that
funny.
he is again such a whiner that he is that there could be a bloodbath.
Uncle Trump, man, is a mud up. Bennett
Well, they've
sound like a
done to some
weirdo.
people that are so
And hope he
innocent.
has a
You ought to
double.
be
I'm
ashamed of
dead.
yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people.
Oh.
When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities. You go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
Wow.
And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true.
Yes.
The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going
Garbage
on
pill
on
on the
Capitol
right.
Hill. And
I'm
all those
dead.
people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots? Come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by.
Welcome to the
The
show,
idea he's refusing
2922.
we
Welcome to the
denounce
show.
These guys. We denounce the people we're talking about now. We denounce the people who attacked that Capitol. What do you do?
Not the people in the Capitol.
I'm going to give you
He did not say
minute,
that.
President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level.
Now his son is a convicted felon.
Probably numerous other times.
Great winners
Should
on
have
the
been
left.
convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion and change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo.
Shut it down
That
for
we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky.
No.
You're lucky.
What's
I
up,
did
Jazz?
nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
Use taxpayer money, of course. Oh, that's what Trump do. 50-59. That's what Trump do.
It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? What are you talking
Whoa.
about? You have the morals.
No, he did not hit him with a low blow like that.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases,
he had no idea what these cases are.
My poll numbers went up way up. You know that because you reported.
Tony, welcome to the show. Tony, welcome to the show.
2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes.
Trump got that live comedy action. Yes.
And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? Did you ever hear any president say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas, like torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him, they said, what do you think of those people? The ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say, Nazis coming out of fields, carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas, were fine people? And this is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on that. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency is, without question, the worst presidency in the history
of the country. What's 86, Joe?
We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden?
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran.
Trump couldn't beat a blind chicken at a checker.
He thought there were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, that he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking windows. We saw people occupying
Oh, no, why he
But
orange,
there's a reason
Mo?
why
That's
40
crazy.
of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
Hold on, y'all. It ain't over yet.
Number two, the wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time.
Trump is
Number
orange
three,
because he's
we're providing
sweet
housing for
Big
black
Mac sauce.
Americans
I'm dead.
and
Not the
dealing with
Big
the
Mac
segregation
sauce.
that
Oh,
exists among
get
these
out of here.
these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in
At
addition
least
to
Trump
that, we
doesn't
find
shake
that
hands
the
with
impact
everywhere
on
people.
the, the choice that black families have to make relative to child care is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we
I
provide
remember
for
that.
child care costs. We got to make sure, because when you provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left.
Is
What do
Trump
you say
racist?
to black voters
know
who are
he is.
disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those black families and those black individuals who provided had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having to do with volunteerism, if they paid their bills for 10 years on their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10
David,
years.
what's up?
Millions have benefited from that.
Yeah,
And we're going to do a whole lot
still
more
got someone to
for
shake
black
his
families.
hands, unlike
Thank
the
you,
one
President
that
Trump.
did Trump.
And he caused
His
the
hands
inflation.
might
He's
fall
blaming
off. I'm
inflation.
dead. Not his hands
And he's
gonna
right, it's
fall
been very
off.
bad.
Trump
He
is
caused the
lying
inflation,
again.
and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy
Trump
groceries
is
anymore. They can't.
disrespectful.
You look at the
Trump
cost of
always
food,
been
where it's doubled
disrespectful.
and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially
At
no
least
inflation. It was
does
perfect.
not
It was so
wear
good. All he had to do
example.
is leave it
Like
alone.
Trump, I'm
He
dead.
destroyed
Not a
it with
diaper.
his Green New Scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is
Man,
that
why
his
destroy your
big
opinion
kill
zone
on the
set
black
up?
people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and
Thank you.
even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic
Thank you,
jobs,
Jeff.
and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment.
Trump is
He
one step away
decimated the
from
economy.
the
Absolutely
White
decimated
House
the economy.
horse
That's why there
in
was
an
no
open
inflation
house coat
at
with
the
no
time. There were
underwear.
no jobs.
Bigfoot
Provided
started the
thousands of millions
California
of jobs for
wildfire.
individuals who are in all communities, including minority communities. We made
Okay.
sure that they have health insurance. We have covered, if the ACA has increased, I made sure that they're $8,000
I like
per
how you
person in
see
a
how
family
Trump is to
to get written
people
off for health
and
care.
how
But
such a
this guy
bad
wants to eliminate that. They
president
tried 50
he is.
times.
Yes.
He wants to get rid of the
You
ACA
already
again,
know.
and they're going to try again.
Black jobs,
We find
yes.
ourselves in a position where
We need
we're
all
outdoing
jobs, man.
that we're not doing any. We put more police on the street than any
Why
administration
should
has.
Black get
He wants to cut the
10,000?
cops. We're
We
providing for equity.
we need that
making sure
10,000.
people
What
have
did you
a
talk
shot
about?
to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it
What
by
is
his
a black
tremendous
job, man?
malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded
wants to
history,
hear,
and
man?
communities across the country are confronting
Not
the
me.
devastating effects of extreme heat,
Nobody,
intensifying
David.
wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name.
Oh, yeah, Ben, you called us that?
And they've taken great offense at
Wow.
it, and now
I
they see it
will see
happening.
you later.
But when they
God
see what I
bless
did for
you.
criminal justice
I
reform
see you
and
later,
for the
cuz.
historically black colleges and universities,
100.
where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job.
What's going
Great
on in
senator
here?
from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great
They
idea. It's one
going
of the
at
most
it, bruh.
successful economic
I have to
development
run it
acts
back. You
ever
hear
in
me?
the
I have
country.
to run
Opportunity
it back.
zones.
You heard
And
me?
the
The
biggest
blacks.
beneficiary are blacks, and that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
You haven't seen
38
anything
seconds
yet.
left. President Trump, will you take any action
Black
as
should
president
stop
to
depending
slow
on
the
the
climate
devil.
crisis?
So I want
Fact.
absolutely
You right about
immaculate
that.
clean water, and I want
I think
absolutely
everybody,
clean air. And we
everybody
had it.
depend on the
We
government
had
now.
H2O.
Make
We had the
ass
best
great
numbers
again.
ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet,
Don't trust none
during my
of
4
them
years, I
politics.
had the
You better
best
not.
environmental numbers ever. And my top
So
environmental people gave me that
assuming you
statistic just
support
before I
Trump,
walked on the
no?
stage, actually.
I don't know where the
Make.
hell he's been. The
What is you
idea,
talking about,
the idea
man?
he
Get
said
off
is
my
true.
live with that gay shit.
I've passed the most extensive
Let me
climate
get the
change
black those.
legislation in history. In history, we find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just don't have the money, but now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water, he hadn't done a damn thing for the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord.
Man, get off my live with that
Because
gay
if we
shit,
reach
bro.
1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, where there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change. And he didn't do a damn thing about it. He wants to undo all that I've done.
Look at Trump's
The
face.
Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and
Oh,
China
look at
nothing, and
Benny's
Russia
face.
nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that
Make
money because
ass
they
up.
treat us horribly. We were the only ones. It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in,
Need some
they want
light.
everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our
I
country.
want to take
They're
care of
taking over
people.
our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to
And
be
it ain't
taking over
never.
Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How
David
can we do
Chappelle,
anything
please.
if we're not able to? The United States can't
Per
give
his
us
law,
food control.
WW2.
One of the
Why is
largest
the
polluters in
U.S.
the world.
letting it leave?
Number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people who
wrote
learn how
the
to
book
deal
on
with
how
it, just
to
like
be
the
an
Peace
asshole.
Corps.
I'm
And
dead.
we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change
I'm
the elements
dead,
and
Mo.
cause of pollution. But the idea that
Two
he
assholes.
claims that He has the biggest heart
Even
up
one
here.
of
He's
them
really
should
concerned
have been
about
allowed to run, and you can't control
pollution
your
and about
vote.
climate.
You can't
I've not seen
control
any
the
indication of
country.
that.
Yes,
And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one
he
company
is right about
agreed
some
that
of
they would
this.
reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
You guys, after years of marriage, this right here is absolute magic. Blue Chew Gold is the only.
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical
Nigga
lifeline.
sleepy.
President
That's
Biden,
why.
if nothing is done
He
to
ready to go
Social
to
Security,
sleep. All that
seniors
light in
will
his
see
face
their
too.
benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I've been proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one after
Welcome to the
I
show.
not raise the cost of Social Security
2922.
for
Welcome.
anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent, but the biggest thing will do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks
Blue
there's
Chew
plenty
is
to cut in
like,
Social
man,
Security. He's wanting to cut Social
abortion.
Security and Medicare both times.
Blue
And
Chew.
if you look at the
Y'all be
the
taking
program
Blue
put
Chew,
forward by
bro.
the House Republican caucus that he, I believe, supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where I talk about education for black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 towards their tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He could look you in the face. So many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street.
He ain't gonna talk about that, bro.
You
know he ain't gonna talk about that.
He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one who acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said
now y'all saying that Trump killed Jeff, huh?
The idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. Look, he's the worst president in the history of our country.
Hey,
he's
Mo.
destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal. And he reduced it
A nothing deal.
bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He's the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We are the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up. Go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians. They've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture.
That's a fact.
You can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care. He did virtually nothing to child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you, and they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us.
He's the only
one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the 2 of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business.
So
Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about, he's increased the tariff, he will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise the tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they have to pay the difference.
Walking up the steps. Nigga old, man. He ain't dumb. He old, bro.
He's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised. He somehow helped the middle class. The middle class has been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt.
Very old, man.
We have the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one.
He was
Number
the
two,
best in
we
the
have not,
first
in fact,
four.
made any contact,
It would take 24
any
years of a
progress
brother to
with
fix
China.
2022.
We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden.
You lost
Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up.
Okay,
Former President
that's a
Trump,
good
despite
question.
the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our
Too much
industries,
money.
and there was more to come. But he hasn't
Middle
done that.
class,
But he
man,
hasn't
so
cut
old.
the tariffs because he
fucked
can't,
up.
because
I'm
it's too much
big.
money. But he's got the largest deficit
The
in the
middle
history
class
of
had
our
greater
country,
knowledge.
and he's got the
Came
worst
under Trump all
the
life.
worst situation with China.
Independent.
China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're
When
doing
is
to us as a
this?
country. They are killing us as a country,
This a
Joe, and you
throwback.
can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border were, it started to
more
increase. We
like
got great equipment. We bought the
86,
certain
46,
dog that's the
right.
most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while.
It went down. I can't stand Democrat
big
reps.
machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico,
money.
and I got it all for nothing.
Who owe you
It's just
gas
like when
money,
you have a
Smooth?
hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter. I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I take office, I said by literally as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time
I
ago. But
almost
Putin's
got
probably
assault
asking for billions and
by
billions of
homeless
dollars because this guy pays it every
here in
time.
New York
We had two
because
cases
of
where we paid
Bennett.
$6
Now that's
billion
crazy.
for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dan?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term.
Damn, that nigga old as a mug.
About your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s.
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 50
Horrible
billion new
situation
jobs,
he left
300,000
me.
manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and to bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000.
Half
You
of
don't need
the
a college
Korea
degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans all over from all over the
Trump
world.
brain is empty.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before.
He said, I never heard a president talk like this
Maybe
before.
a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us, all of our allies, and those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We've made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced him. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they've never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what you. Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap. 8. But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to turn.
Let's not act like children.
To a specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose
Biggest
Garden, you
scam
would say it's
ever
one of
was
the
lies
strongest
about
statements
being
you've
in
ever
here
seen. In
while
addition
in
to the speech I
office.
made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They
I
talk
can't
about
believe that
a
he
relatively small
was
number of
sitting
people that went to the
months
Capitol,
now.
and in many
And
cases
2
were
weeks
ushered in
later,
by the police. And as Nancy
they
Pelosi
are.
said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all, a required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President
president.
Trump, the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
Excuse me, sir, how old were you when you made your first million?
What is this for?
We're trying to get advice for the younger generation.
I made my first million last year, actually.
What line of work are you in?
I'm in sales.
Okay, what's the best advice you can give someone that's in sales?
You're only as good as your...
Is fair. The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit, number one. He's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along, it's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. The things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it. Just
Thank y'all for tapping into Yo Cuz podcast, man. Thank y'all for tuning in with Yo Cuz podcast, man. Thank y'all for sitting here watching them crazy people debate. See, I bring facts to y'all attention of what's going on in this world. Y'all already know it's crazy things going on in this world right now, and it's all because of Trump, man. Make sure y'all pay attention when I give y'all all this good information for free. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and drop a comment after this episode. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Go!